And here we go. So another week, another stream, as I usually say when we start these, and it should be pretty good. I think that again, I know probably is is a little bit long to fall onto. Is just the fact that I'm saying like, oh, it's another good week for manga, which surprisingly enough, again, it really has. Even though I didn't like the only one that I would say that I didn't really like was the One Piece chapter, which other people seem to like it, so regardless, at least they got enjoyment out of it. But other than that, I really think I liked every single of the weekly mangas that we've got, at least this week. I'm wondering if we're going to have some solidness from Eden Zero this week as well. I would willing to bet we will. We're going to some pretty crazy stuff with pretty much with Mildian and seeing this cool time displaced planet. And I'm wondering actually right now, thinking about it, is will they end up being immune to the chronophage? I don't know. I didn't really think about that till now because all my Eden Zero kind of like thoughts right now are all going towards the my idea that I have for Shiki, a theory that I'll put out eventually, but I've been thinking about that a lot. I've obviously been thinking about, some of the bigger ones, Fairy Tail, Black Clover. Also, Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen was fucking crazy this week, too. Wrote Zach Stevens, Kanaw's awesome Kimetsu no Yaiba. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's going to be an explanation on that, because it seems like she, potentially she might have been stronger this whole time. Maybe she's been subconsciously holding herself back for Shinobu. I'm very curious about that, because one of the things I was wondering is like, if the series is racing towards the end, this is the final arc. I hope not, but if it is, like, Tanjiro, Giyu are both down, and I assume Tanjiro will get back up, but like Giyu's definitely down. Dude's sword's broken, and there's still two more Upper Moons, both stronger than Akaza and Muzan. So what exactly are they gonna be able to pull there? I mean, if it takes Giyu and Tanjiro combined to defeat Akaza, how is Kanao going to defeat Doma? I don't understand that. Maybe we'll see. I'm hoping they don't defeat him. I want to see this character go further and maybe go into the whole play on that whole aspect of when Akaza was gonna pretty much advance into a new creature. I think that would have been really cool. It was a shame that he died, but it made sense, the layout of his character, so I guess that's fine. As long as they don't get that with Doma, and I can't remember the Upper Moon One's name. I don't remember if they gave him his name yet. I had to look it up. They probably have, and I just forgot because I've been thinking a lot more about like Doma and Akaza, and Upper Moon One hasn't gotten his big spotlight yet. What's up, Andre and JK Network? How are you guys doing? I'm thinking, the planet being immune to the chronophage is. I feel like that could be a big aspect for that whole world, because two places we've seen so far could be important in that aspect. Digitalis, because obviously it's a digital planet, it's not physical, and Mildian, because Mildian apparently has some weird space or time absentee status of it, so maybe those could be really important moving on from the series. To where they can have like meetings or like a base camp of like the chronophage goes crazy. They'll always have somewhere maybe they could pretty much go hide off on, But we'll figure that out soon. Probably find out something in the next chapter about it. Maybe it'll have something related to the chronophage. Maybe they were part of the creation of it. We don't know. It's all a mystery right now. All right, let's imagine living in the easy universe of the chronophage. Look around. That'd be spooky, because you could. So imagine this. Imagine the chronophage was existed in our world, and we didn't know about it. This could be like the 4th or 5th time that we've existed, but the chronophage just comes by and eats the planet all the time, or eats the time of the planet all the time. So we wouldn't know exactly, and it would just be reliving time over and over the same way. Upper Moon 1 is Kokushibao, or Kokushibao, I don't know how it's pronounced. Yeah, it's every time I think about him, I don't really think about what his name is. I'm just wondering what exactly he's going to do. And that's way more of my focus where he's at. Obviously, he's way more important than all the other probably demons under Muzan, not only because he's Upper Moon 1, but he's clearly the one from all these flashbacks that had to do with Tanjiro's dad, as well as one of the first breath people. So there's a lot of mystery there with that character. How tragic is that Lumiere and Licht became brothers, and now Lumiere is gonna have to kill him in his demon god form? Yeah. Did anyone else notice that when they talked about the magic tools that he made, one of them was that sphere, which was actually what they used, the nobles used to drain the elves during that one we saw in one of the flashbacks, which sucks to be for Lumiere, who created all these tools for the betterment of people and helping out and just like advancing magic in general, and that just was part of what destroyed everything for them, actually, at least for the elves and the relationship they had with the elves. I mean, at least that there's the potential that they can like write this off on the demon being the culprit behind a lot of stuff, so they'll be able to maybe get along faster and forgive each other in a lot less of a kind of like out of nowhere way, but still like well developed. We'll see. I trust Tabata. He's pretty skilled in that. Drakken Joe must have been young during Ziggy's era. Yeah, I'm wondering about that. I mean, it's not even that like we don't know exactly how expansive like everything is. We don't know if maybe Drakken Joe came from a different cosmos. There's a lot of questionable things like that because we don't know enough about the world of Eden Zero. I guess just the expansive universe. So could it be like maybe Drakken Joe not knowing about Ziggy has to do with his backstory somehow? Is that going to explain maybe he came from some super poor planet where he never would have known about all these adventures of Ziggy and this famous person? Maybe that's why he loves money so much. I don't know. We'll see. What's up, Jared Punch? How's it going? Did I finish my He-Man? I'm on episode 21. I was watching a couple episodes earlier today. It was I feel like they should have safeguarded poor crippled brother way earlier. Goddamn, we don't. I actually laughed at that part where that one redheaded loli is like screwing up on Mai the whole time, and sadistic ass bitch just trying to ruin her for her own games. Unfortunate. The magic tool not only stole the mana but killed the elves too. Yeah, it's just knowing that something that the Wizard King did with what Lumiere did, being a part of it, probably really had some effect on him. Probably really put some damage on everything going around with these characters and the elves and their perception of humans. And again, it's going to be really interesting when we expand out of the Clover Kingdom, start learning into the lore of the other kingdoms. Because I do have the theory that the dwarves are in the Diamond Kingdom. Obviously, diamonds, we know about they have a very mining culture. And it would make sense that maybe instead of elves, their country had dwarves. Obviously, their grimoires also have diamonds on them. So it could explain, diamonds deep down in the ground, dwarves digging and whatnot. And if instead the dwarves and the Diamond Kingdom had a close relationship instead of like how the humans and the elves went, we don't know. We'll probably get to that eventually. I'm really hoping Tabata doesn't just kind of like write off the Diamond Kingdom. Obviously, what we're doing right now is really important, but the Diamond Kingdom is still a threat. There's still some important stuff there, and we haven't even really got to. We had the introduction of those shining generals back in the end of the end of that village arc or I guess it wasn't even a village arc. The encounter when we saw William Vengeance use his great tree and they beat those kind of like lost, like weakened versions of the Shining Generals, and then we saw those couple others, but we haven't gotten anything about them yet. And obviously, the arc hasn't come up for yet. I'm just hoping that Tabata doesn't just like write it off. I doubt he would. We don't know enough about him and the way that he's doing a lot of things, because we only know what led up to this arc. There's still a lot coming from him that could do it. Keon Francis, what manga is on the screen? That is Jujutsu Kaisen. That is from the most recent chapter, which I'm gonna do my review of this recent chapter probably sometime tonight, probably at their Game of Thrones. But oh my god, that was a sick chapter. What's up, Pegasus? Say, how's it going? Oh, we had a dope fight in the flashback. Yeah, I liked that this flashback in Black Clover. We know what this chapter entirely was leading up to, but I think it was kind of like the fact that we knew it loosely and we're starting to get like the pieces filled in while still getting important like little aspects like Lumiere making the magic tools. I thought that was really cool and obviously very important for both his character and the story. My phone is acting up. I see you guys later. Oh, Jared Punch. I hope that your phone fixes. You come back. The Black Clover chapter was chapters fire. Yeah, the chapters have been great. They just keep Tabata keeps coming forward with just really good chapters, very consistent, very fun. Even with being they've been like a page or so short than normal, but legitimately the level of consistency that he has going on is great, and I've been really enjoying that. Do you think Elsie is gonna help Shiki, or do you think that she's gonna mind her own business because she said she paid her debt and is already paid? I think she's gonna do her own thing. I don't think that she'll do anything with Shiki, at least now, until it might be beneficial to her. I do want Mishima to keep Elsie as more of a criminal, more of an eventual opponent rather than an ally, because I do like that distinction of the difference between Justice and Elsie to Jalal and Urza, because they're pretty much them, but with like warped positions instead of Justice is this military dude trying to catch a criminal. Elsie is just constantly evading him and messing him at the same time. It's very cat and mouse. I just think that's very fun. I like that twist on the relationship. But yeah, Lumiere versus Licht will be hype but sad chapter. I'm hoping we just get to see some cool big attacks from the first wizard. We can call him Lumiere now because we know his name. See some attacks from Lumiere. I want to get a name for that spell because just thinking back really quick off the top of my head, I don't think we actually see it in the manga. Obviously, if you watch the anime, you see it like the start of every episode, that big light sword that Lumiere brings down to attack the big demon who we found out is in fact Licht and not some form of summoned demon. I'm hoping we get the name for that because even though that was that was from the anime, I don't believe it's in the chapter we actually saw where he summons the big light sword. I don't think that's in the manga, at least off the top of my head. I might be wrong, but I'm hoping we get a name for that and we do see that because I feel like even if that was in the anime, it was correct that he uses light magic. So obviously that falling over, I'm sure Tabata had some form of play into that scene just to make sure that it doesn't have any contradictions or any plot holes or any issues. Which group is more fueled by hatred, the elves or the Uchiha? I'd say the elves because it's way more apparent and it's way more detrimental to them. With the Uchiha, it was very quiet and it was all like stuff of like it was all hushed for them and they were kind of just like biding their time. And it's way more singular Uchiha from what we really saw versus like the elves where it's like all of them. Hopefully they fix themselves after this and they can get along. Yeah, what's up, Pegasus? Say it's good to see you guys. Good to see everyone here that showed up. I'm happy to see everybody, and it's good to see people start popping in saying, "Hey, I hope the Black Clover doesn't fall prey to the escalation issue that plagues Shonen. If when we get to the Diamond Kingdom, they're so ridiculously overpowered. Why didn't they destroy them? It depends, because the thing about the Diamond Kingdom is we know that they've been doing experiments. Like Mars wasn't like Mars was powerful because he's got a pretty good magic, but he wasn't nearly as much of a threat just with his diamond magic. It's because he was a combination of really high offense, really high defense, and the fact he could Phoenix Robe fix himself. The idea that they could show up and be able to compete with the Clover Kingdom, and again, it wouldn't be that hard because a lot of the really powerful characters right now that we've seen are still far beyond what like all of the Clover. The only couple characters we really know that could compete with like captain level elves were Julius and Lumiere, assumingly, and everybody else. They've been like group fights and very, very specific situations, like with Nozzle and the Dark Elf Patri. So it won't be as surprising as long as it's more of 1v1. As long as the Diamond Kingdom doesn't pull up with like, oh, we have all these guys that are all on level with Patri and whatnot. As long as they're captain level threats, existent, and there are explanations of how they work. Obviously experimentation, having hybrid grimoires is going to be by itself a very reasonable reason why they're OP. And I believe that Tabata, plans things out far enough that it will make sense. I don't think he's just going to pull anything out of his ass. Because one of the large issues with a lot of shonen is why certain things kind of fall out of place. And it's like, for instance, One Piece, Shanks losing his arm to a random tiny ass Sea King in East Blue is again like how, or something like a lot of statements in early Fairy Tail about how a lot of wizards are doesn't seem to hold in a lot of ways, because a lot of them are very physical fighters combined with like ranged, and you only get certain that are like Slayer mages who are just like dead on melee, but there are also other mages that are very, very melee orientated. But I think Tabata definitely has things planned out. We've seen there. I don't think there's been any parts in Black Clover where it seems like he just pulled something out of his ass, and it doesn't have prior explanation set up, or it will be explained at some point. He seems very much on the ball with everything. That's what I like about Tabata, and I don't blame a lot of mangaka for it, because they don't know what's gonna blow up. They don't know what's gonna get huge. Like Toriyama, I can guarantee you Toriyama didn't expect Dragon Ball to still be going in 2019 when it was made 30 years ago, or any of the really big ones. So I think a lot of it is like them trying to figure out at that point of like, how can I make this go on way longer with what I've got? How do I try and work out a story without it hurting the future, but also hurting the past? And they got to adapt. I believe that I think even Oda said that One Piece wasn't even supposed to be even close to as long as it is. Like, it just kind of kept getting longer and longer as he went. But, it just as it is how it is. As long as they are able to keep it consistent, it'll be fine after a point. Like, early is early. And I definitely appreciate Tabata's planned out for it. I think you got, like, Bleach, where these multiple century-old Soul Reaper captains are like, oh, shit, we're falling behind. We better do a couple months training and jump like way stronger than we actually are. Tabata, though, he was able to lay out beforehand. Oh, the captains are still growing in power. They still have spells to be unlocked. So it's good on his part. Who's my favorite character in Fairy Tail? My favorite characters are Natsu, Zeref, and Mardgear. Those are my three favorite characters. I do really love Natsu. Zeref is wildly complex. If you've checked my channel recently, obviously I've started my 5-part series on Zeref's character. I'm going to be going over him hopefully each week, doing a different kind of like aspect of him. I wanted the first one, the inspiration, where I think that he's highly inspired by Griffith from Berserk. I wanted it to be like somewhere between like 10 to 12, 13 minutes, and I ended up like 22 minutes. It was longer, but I feel like it's still okay. You can just listen to it. You don't have to. It's whatever if you like the character. I really love Zeref, so I had fun talking about him. I see Kanao getting a mark. Also, do you think that she can be a pillar like Tanjiro is? I mean, she could definitely do it. She's very skilled. I think that, like, the fact that she was close to Tanjiro, she's got a good connection with him, that she could easily get one of those marks. She could easily evolve and go further down the line. I really don't want... Because it seems like it's possible for Kimetsu no Yaiba to end this arc. I really don't want it to. Because, I want to see, like, everyone become a pillar. I want to see Zenitsu become a pillar. I want to see Inosuke become a pillar. I want to see Tanjiro become a pillar. I want to see Kanao become a pillar. And I feel like there's so much more you could do in Kimetsu no Yaiba, especially the fact that it's been established that other countries exist. They've talked about other countries very lightly, not too much, but I think it'd be really cool as if Muzan was maybe one of a handful of other characters like him, and there were other versions in other countries, and they had their own kind of demons, but they were styled after, like, if you had a character in Russia who was doing that, you had, like, demons viewed off of, like, how the Russian mythology and, like, their lore, and if you did it in South America or whatever, and it would just have to be really cool, like, later in the game to see, like, demons from different mythos and culture and stuff, like, kind of team up, because there's a lot of weird variations of creatures that have, like, the same idea. Demons obviously have very wildly different interpretations to wherever you go in the world. And something like dragons too, another very very frequent kind of like idea of a creature with a very wildly growing idea of what they end up looking like. So why do you think Mishima likes reusing names like Harassyon Says, Fairy Tail Rave, and Eden Zero? Oh, in Fairy Tail it wasn't supposed to be. The Harassyon Says were it was a placeholder name. He just put it on there because he was like, it'd be cool if because I don't remember if he said this in a volume extra, it was in an interview, but he talked about how he just liked the idea that one of them were like a select couple elite group, and he gave them the name Harassyon Sace as just a placeholder, and he didn't come up with a better name by the deadline, so he just said, screw it, I'm going to go with it. And then I think just because of that, he wanted to keep up consistency of it. Like, it's just one of those things I feel like, I think it's really cool that we'll see like a different version, not really a different version, but just kind of like a group or something within each of the series that is a different twist on the name. Like we have the Harassyon 6, which were 6 generals in the Demon Card Army. Would they be an army? Their faction, and they were a lot more than the Harassyon say. Well, I think they were close to about the same numbers. I'd have to double check, but they were more like elite members, serving under one king for his whole goals. Whereas the Harassyon Sace were specifically members of a guild, and each of them, even though each of them had their own kind of subdivisions, we didn't really see much about them other than racers. And I thought it was cool that they were more of a collective group versus now the Harassyon Sace Galactica they're all related by title alone. It seems like they all aren't associated with each other, and they all have their own crew, which is going to be pretty cool. I mean, you could have that be, each of them get an arc by itself, and bam, you have 6 arcs. It could literally just be them, and you would maybe have a couple extra villains outside of that could show up throughout the series, and you could work pretty well with those. The Black Clover chapter, though, it's getting good, getting a good origin story. Yeah, I like that. I talked about it a little bit, like, somebody commented on my video about, like, how exactly, because I titled it the Fall of the First Wizard King Revealed, and I put the attack scene, it's a still from the anime when he's calling down that super light sword, and he was upset that, like, nothing that I put in there was in it, but it is, because we already know exactly where this whole flashback is going. It's the start of finding out what exactly is in there. It's not like, hey, the first Wizard King, he was famous. We don't know what it was. Oh, we're finally getting it. We're getting into what exactly really happened. And I think that's where a lot of the importance is of it. It's not going to be like, oh, we're gonna see him just go fight in a flashback. It's really, you're getting a scene that has been depicted so many times in the anime. All the characters know it from their own like storybooks and whatnot. But like we've seen a lot in Black Clover, there's been a lot of situations where, like when Noelle heard about the elves, she was told as a story when she was little, that the elves were all bad and the humans defeated them and saved everybody. But that's not the case. That's just how their history has been spun. And we didn't know until this flashback. It could have been wildly different because there's been all these story aspects of Black Clover that have been only like that because the story, the history of that has been altered by the humans to make it seem more in their favor, which I think is really cool. That could be a real life thing. We don't know what events in history could be way different. It's just whoever wrote the story down and was passed on is what we know. It's a very weird thing to kind of think about. It's also like when you think about like what countries and empires existed that we'll never know about existed because they were pretty much wiped out. Like they were conquered by another group and had all their history and all their texts and everything destroyed, and just the world forgot about them. That's kind of like what we're getting with the elves, but instead it's like that. They know it as the humans did this good thing against these bad guys, but it was really it was messed up on both sides, and they're kind of just covering it all up. So I like that we're now getting to see what really happened. And again, it's been a lot more interesting from the fact that we know it wasn't either side that's at fault. It was this third party that's really been orchestrating everything. I'm back. I'm catching up with Black Clover. I'm currently at 165, if I remember. Yeah, solid stuff. That's what is it? 165. I'm trying to remember because oh my god, 150s. I think 165. That's shortly after the fight with when Henry's revealed. I'd have to double check. Named attacks are already named attacks are awesome. Having named techniques is so much fun. And I like the idea behind it, like when people have explained, like in series, like why would you name your attack? And it's like you have like a visualization of the attack you're doing, and knowing the name makes it easier, but it also kind of like dead sets it in like more of a muscle memory, instead of just being like, I'm gonna throw in a fireball. If you're Magna, I'm gonna throw a fire. Well, obviously theirs is different because it's spells. But like in the same idea, you don't imagine they don't have a spell book where they're specifically set. I'm gonna throw a fireball that's gonna turn invisible and it's gonna hit them from one direction or another. Versus like you say it and you have that, you don't have to think about it. It's just dead set muscle memory. I always thought that was a really cool idea, like explaining why shouting out your techniques is beneficial, and I like it. I doubt. If I got superpowers tomorrow, I'd have to name my techniques. It's so awesome. I wouldn't not be able to do it, rather. Oh, the Diamond Kingdom generals don't get introduced as fodder because of this arc. I doubt they'll be fodder. Oh, they don't have to be fodder, because the thing is, the elves, they've been for the most part way more powerful than everyone else. We've only had a couple instances where they've been able to defeat them one-on-one, but they've been like. We had the only time right off the top of my head, like a pretty, not like a big elf, but a decent one, a vice captain ranked elf was defeated, but it was by Fuegoleon, who had salamanders, so it's not like it's some random guy. Most of the big elves that we've seen go down are because of group efforts, group fights, and the fact that we don't know, it doesn't have to just be power levels that goes into this. Like, the fact that they pretty much have chimera grimoires. And I think the fact that they can combine magics is what's going to really make them dangerous. Not direct, like, oh, this guy's more powerful than the elves. Or like, because this guy has two magics, he's way trickier than the elves. He's got two different spells that shouldn't go together. Like, if you had one spell that, my power is specifically slow, making people stop. Like, I can pretty much make it so you can't move out of this spot for 5 seconds, but I have no offensive abilities. It's like, okay, that's a great support, but maybe they're combined with, like, I can set this spot to explode. Like, if you combine that with something like, with Zora, like, if you combine Zora's magic with, I don't know, someone like Magda's, where you just made like super trap bombs. Like, at that point, you just be too OP. And I think that's what'll make the Diamond Kingdom as much of a threat as they are, is purely from the fact that they're gonna have weird combinations of magic that people aren't know about. Because like, imagine if you combined Langris and Finral's magic. You're gonna be able to teleport any attack away. You're gonna have absurd movement ability, just being able to jump through portals everywhere, and you're going to be able to have essentially one-shot magic, unless you have some way to cancel out spatial like erasure. So it's all going to be entirely how Tabata handles it. I'm very confident that he'll not drop the ball with the Diamond Kingdom, because they're not powerful. From what we've seen, they're not powerful from straight up just being like, oh, I've got an absurd magical power I was born with and trained. They're people so far. Again, Mars and Ludros both have been powerful because of weird experimentation that have made them powerful. Do you think that Hero should have written it where Brandish couldn't have killed Lucy easily, but actually gave her a real fight? I mean, it says a lot about Brandish's character, and it still opened up a lot of good room for Lucy to grow. And it not only that, it was a really good character moment for Lucy in those both encounters of her against Brandish and Demaria. She couldn't have won, but the fact that she stood her ground and she tried, like, as much as she did, it was very, very good. And like, thinking at Lucy now compared to like Lucy at the start, where it's like, hey, I have a whip and I can occasionally kick people and my spirits really do everything, but I try. And now she's like direct on, and her spirits now are really more like support for her while she's in her spirit dress. They've really switched spots where she was support while they do really all the work. And now she's direct heads on, and she's got all this variety to her magic as well. Lucy's developed really well, and even though she didn't get any real big one like heavy fight in Alvarez, she had a huge role in that arc. And I see people like try and argue like she didn't get a fight. Well, the fight isn't really what matters. It's being like important, being relevant, getting something that really shows off their character. As long as it's not like shafted like Sanji, where it's like, what are you gonna do for this arc? I'm gonna get beat up, and then I'm gonna get a girl to switch sides because I compliment her once, and then I'm gonna bake a cake. It's like, okay, dude, let's back that up. Let's give you something cool. Instead, nope, I've decided I'm gonna make cake for this arc. It's like, god damn it, what are you doing? He used to be my boy, but now he's annoying. Let's see, what else? Name tags are cliche, but I do not mind. I love named attacks. I already read Joshua Lights. What's up, Joshua Light, if you're still here. My favorites are Natsu, Mirror Jane, Lucy, Zareth, and Wendy. Mirror Jane legitimately doesn't get as much attention as she should. I wish she had a little bit more to do in the arc. I was pretty happy, though, that she got the cool Sayla and Alegria forms during that. I wish that she was around and was able to get Marred Gears. I mean, Alegria was at least nice, but it's a reminiscent of Marred Gear, but it's not Marred Gear. Whatever. RG Toriyama is God. He literally decided whether Bleach started or not. What? Oh, yeah. He's got a lot of influence. He's got a lot of influence, and that's what happens when you become such a big, contender. And I think, I'm wondering how much of it isn't just like, oh, he's famous. A lot of it is like people looking up to them because, you could have a guy that's like, I'm a big shot at Shonen Jump now, that grew up watching Dragon Ball, and because you have that childhood nostalgia lock, like I feel like that is a huge boost in general as well. Like I would be super into like talking to Kubo. Like I like Dragon Ball, but I'd be much like more of like if Kubo came up to me and was like, hey, I need you to do something for me, I'd be like, yes, whatever, what could it be, boss man? I'll do it. I love Bleach, even with its faults. Don't know if I should feel about Samurai. Hachimaru already achieved his dream to become a samurai in the first chapter. That's not the point, though. You've been watching Sammy's videos. The idea is that he wanted to become a samurai, but that's only the start of it. He wanted to go out and do stuff. He was a dude that was bound to a machine his whole life as a cripple, and he was sad he couldn't do anything for his dad. He looked out at the world every day from his room, couldn't figure out what to do. And like he even says in the chapter, he wishes he could go out and be of use and be able to see things and actually like live a life in the world, but he couldn't because he was a crippled dude bound up to life support. And that was, again, it's just the start of everything for it. That's like Denji Chainsaw Man. He like his whole chapter 1 goal was to like he wanted to pay off this debt that got pushed onto him by his dad. I mean, he got it accomplished pretty much in the first chapter because the people that he owed money to ended up dead. Doesn't mean that his job is done. The idea that Hachimaru, it's like, oh, he's a samurai, well, it's over. That's ridiculous. It's super ridiculous. I don't agree with the idea that, well, he achieved his whole goal. It doesn't matter. Because his goal at that point, I can guarantee you it's going to change. I mean, they also, at the same chapter, even before they introduced Hachimaru, they explain this whole thing about the galaxy, and so they had to find the 7 keys to Pandora's box. I'm guessing it's going to tie into what Hachimaru's doing. I don't know why the whole idea is like, oh, he had a goal, it's over. Well, Natsu had a goal. He wanted to find his dad. After he found Ignis, should the series have just ended? No, his goal can change. A character's goal can progress and alter through the story as they go. Like, it's a silly notion to think that, well, he achieved his goal, it's over. I mean, what do you mean? It's like, oh, I want to be a superhero. Okay, I became a superhero. I put on an outfit and got powers. Okay, the series is over. No, then after that point, it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? What is Hachimaru going to do now that he can actually go out and do stuff? He's not a cripple anymore. He can actually live life. He can go out and adventure. He can go out into space. Like, it's such a silly idea to think that his entire life is now completed. No, it's not where, oh, his life is completed. This is where his life can actually begin. Oh my God damn it, Sammy. I'm gonna put the blame on you, even though you didn't make the statement. I'm putting Zach Stevens. You're not to blame. I'm blaming Sammy. Do you think Luffy would be Pirate King and Asta would be Wizard King? Oh yeah, of course. Of course they will be. I mean, with Asta's case, with Luffy's case, he's gonna be Pirate King, and that's gonna be the end of it. Asta, between now, there's probably gonna be one, maybe two. Well, there'll definitely be one. There might be like two Wizard Kings in between them at that place, coming over for to take over now that Julius has died. Between Asta and him, again, it's kind of like with Naruto. Like Naruto wanted to be Hokage, but it's not like he had to be the next Hokage. He just is going to become Hokage at some point, and that's what we'll get with Asta at some point. Luffy, though, there's no other Pirate King. It's going to be whoever finds One Piece, and obviously no one else has found it. And it wouldn't work like, well, somebody else found it, and then Luffy's got to go beat them. Unless it's Shanks. Unless that happens, and he's like, well, they found it at the same time, they have to compete to who really gets it. That's something I do see happening. I feel like that's the logical final battle for Luffy, is going against Shanks, and it would make more sense for him to be the final enemy, and unless Oda just decides to off-panel it, like he's been doing. I don't know why he's been doing this, but it's a possibility. I just don't want it to. What is the good anime in the background of Slice? And that is Kimetsu no Yaiba. And Kimetsu no Yaiba, I'm going to talk about it more in my review of this newest chapter, but I love this chapter. This chapter was so awesome. And I already talked about it a little bit with my friends. It reminds me so much of one of the best aspects of Bleach. And one of the best aspects, especially for anybody here who's either read or watched Bleach, especially as it was releasing, is when you get a new character, whether it be a Stern Ritter or a Hollow, or I guess really a Narankar, or a Soul Reaper, or anything. Like, the second you see them show up, before you even get their personalities, before you get any fights with them, before they even have dialogue, it's that wonder of what exactly their Shikai, Bankai, Resurrection, Holy Form is. And we have that right now with Jujutsu Kaisen, is characters' powers can differ all around the place. We don't know, character can show. We don't know what their ability is going to be. But one thing that they have that is that same replacement of, like, they will have this power specifically similar to, like, again, Shikai, Bankai, Resurrection, Holy Form. In Jujutsu Kaisen, they'll have a territorial expansion. Or I guess now the official translation is area expansion. But you pretty much can create your own custom area made out of your power, like this. Megumi making his Chimera Shadow Garden, where he has this weird dark water or slime, and he's able to create his familiars all within it, just in this super rapid motion. It's so weird, and I think it's just like, it's such a cool thing to have in a series when you're just wondering by default what exactly theirs is. We have it a little bit in Fairy Tail, where all the Dragon Slayers seem to have, every single Dragon Slayer type has some weird perk to them. Fire Dragon Slayers can burn magic. Iron, or just metal in general, are far more durable, as well as they're physical, so they can leave physical matter. Like when Gagio attacked the Fairy Tail Guild and he left all those big iron pillars in it. Sky Dragon can buff, and they can do buffs and debuffs and status effects and whatnot. There's a bunch of them similar to the I imagine similar to the Shadow Dragons. They can turn intangible. I assume the Water Dragons can seemingly turn intangible from what we saw with Mercephobia. It's just one of those really cool aspects of this series, when even though you don't know what this character is going to really do in a long sense, they're going to have one thing to look forward to by default. And Jujutsu Kaisen definitely has that with area expansion, rather, and I think that's really cool. Check it out, especially. It's been getting really big, I guess, in Japan. Like, the volumes have been selling out. I saw Chainsaw Man, so I had to look at. Well, the new Chainsaw Man chapter was very unholy from Track It. Dude, I love Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is so awesome. It's so weird. I'm gonna get back to what I was talking about real quick, but then I'm gonna get to Chainsaw Man, because I do want to talk about Chainsaw Man, because I do love Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is so much fun. But Jujutsu Kaisen, apparently it's been blowing up in Japan, actually in relation also to Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man Volume 1 and 2 both sold out before they were even officially physical to buy in a store. Pre-orders bought out, and as well as Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 5. So both of those are apparently blowing up in Japan, which is great. I think that Jujutsu Kaisen already has 6 million volume. It was somewhere between like 2 and 6. I have to double check. I think it's 2 million. I think it was. I don't remember what series. I had to double check. They definitely have a couple million sales already with Jujutsu Kaisen, which is great. Loving it. And I think Chainsaw Man is already at 100,000+, which is really good considering it's only at volume 2, and both volumes have sold out before getting to the shelves, which is great. Love both of those series. They're both really fun. They're both very interesting. Especially you look at this background that I'm using for the stream, and it's a weird one with Jujutsu Kaisen. So check that out. Check out Chainsaw Man if you haven't. What's up, Sammy? How's it going? I see Sammy probably popping in real quick, saying hi. I gotta make sure I don't lose my spot. What character from Fairy Tail do you think would be a good candidate for Wizard King and Black Clover? Well, it'd have to be somebody that is powerful, but at the same time very stoic. I think Urza would be a good candidate. Anybody that's like level-headed and responsible, because they're also a very public figure. I mean, any big guy would probably do pretty fine. Urza would probably be one of the better candidates. Maybe Gray. I mean, Natsu could fit the bill as for an offensive and capable spot, but he would probably cause too much collateral damage for the kingdom, because you also got to keep in mind that the Wizard King. I mean, with ice, you could melt the ice if it was Gray. Gray would probably be a really better candidate than Natsu, but there's a lot of good ones in there because a lot of them do care about protection of their own, which falls into the Fairy Tail Guild especially. So a lot of them would really fit the bill for it. I think Urza would probably be one of the best because she's also a very good authoritative figure. What's your opinion on the main character of Demon Slayer? I like Tanjiro. He's a really cool dude. I like how he's very blunt and straightforward, which I really like him. But at the same time, he's got that innocent niceness. Luck and Magna are true bros. Could feel the bromance in their friendship. Yeah, that's legitimately one of Tabata's best skills is portraying rivalries. He's really good at character rivalries, and he's got that with Yuno and Asta. He's got that with Luck and Magna. He's got that with Fuego Leon and Nozzle. I'm gonna call him Nozzle until I get a canon pronunciation. There's no special symbols over the O, so I'm just going with Nozzle. I like Nozzle better than Nozel. Nozel makes me think he's a goddamn Rapunzel character. I don't know. If I can get a canon pronunciation of what his name is pronounced, I'll go with that. But until then, I'm going with Nozzle. I like it. It also makes sense because the name's... He's got one of their kids named goddamn Solid. Come on. You're gonna have, I always thought, Nozzle water comes out of there. He's got liquid metal. And maybe that's just where my weird brain has been going since his idea of it. In the latest My Hero Academia chapter, you saw that panel where Shigaraki Thanos a bunch of people. I'm wondering what the point is of making him more OP, because he's already really overpowered. I mean, if he gets his grip on you, it's a one shot. So what is the point of giving him an AoE one and being able to pretty much decay people without making contact? I'm very curious about that. I mean, I'm sure Horikoshi has a plan ahead. I'm sure he's got something going on where he knows, don't worry, I've got this. It's not going to fall apart. I'm just hoping he doesn't make him too OP, and then the only way for Deku to fight him is for one of the powers he's eventually going to get is going to be too convenient. Like, oh, I have the power to undo this quirk or cancel a quirk or something. That's what I don't want to happen. I'm hoping that he's got them all figured out already and doesn't do that. I've got enough faith in him that he's not going to do that because we don't have any reason for him to think he'll do that. And just paranoia, but nothing really to assume that he would pull a cop out like that. It's just my paranoia again, thinking about he's already OP, so what's the point of making him more broken? I was hoping it would work in more of in a different way, maybe evolve past it, or maybe it was not his real quirk, and it was just kind of work it into how he's got to have this super OP deadly quirk just to kind of hold off whatever his real one is developing in the back. I don't know. Well, we'll see. It's obviously his arc right now, and it can't be too much longer because now they only have an hour 20 until Giganto wakes up, so he'll be over shortly in a couple chapters. And they took out what's her face, the Curious lady, Miss Curious, or they took out her pretty quick. So I'm guessing each of the guys that each of the opponents are going to be 1 or 2 chapters. So that's fine. So it'll probably be like another 5-6 chapters for this whole arc. Really excited to see Inosuke get his moment in this arc. I love Inosuke. Inosuke's awesome. So if the Himeis existed and were awakened from their stasis mix with nano machines and Black Clover, I don't know how the fuck nano machines would go in Black Clover. I mean, they would do pretty well. I just don't see them ever standing up to people like Julius. Anybody, Yami, people like Yami, Julius, Marileona. I mean, they'd probably get up to like captains, like some of the captains. They definitely would beat people like Rill. I mean, Rill's only good for versatility. What's your opinion on Henry's character? I like Henry. Henry's pretty cool. I thought Henry was gonna die a couple chapters. I guess it's more like a couple chapters ago in the fight when they had against how do you pronounce his name again? I don't remember. The elf that took over. The elf that took over Gotcha's body, Droid or Drowid or whatever the fuck. I thought he could die in that scene in that whole fight because it was like it wasn't enough that you'd be killing off a main character, but you're still killing off a character that people have had enough time, and he's had enough time on screen to get some emotional weight to him. But I like him so far. I was surprised. I was a little bit surprised he didn't die. I enjoy Henry. I like that they'll always have this kind of character protecting the base. So he'll always be there to keep things going, keep things strong. How would you feel if Irene and August survived the war? Joined Fairy Tail. I wouldn't have liked the idea of Irene doing it. August, I didn't want anybody in Alvarez to join the Fairy Tail Guild. I like them being part of their own thing. I didn't want any of them to defect or just be like, well, I guess I'll come to you guys now. With them, I can only see like if Hiroshima does per se a sequel, like if he does Fairy Tail Next Generation, he could do that could be a character. Like think about this, because we don't know the extent of regeneration with characters in Fairy Tail. We don't know what the criteria is of it. We have only seen some cases. And it would be cool if maybe, like, if you get to a certain level of power, that if you die, you will be reborn, which would explain Mavis and Zareth. Now imagine next gen, and you have all these new characters, and you get this character who's extremely powerful, and you're like, how can this OP character exist? What is the explanation of it? And then it turns out it's August reborn, and they have this super OP kid in there, and maybe he could join the guild, which would make sense why, if you had reincarnated August, if he had for a reason that he really wanted to join Fairy Tail, and he goes up, and obviously his backstory, we know about his relations with Zareth and Mavis especially. It would make sense why, like, a deep-seated in his mind that he would want to go where Mavis created. Again, it's a possibility. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We don't know if Hiroshima is just going to have, after the 100 Years quest and after everything that's going out, if he's going to have, like, a flash forward and then have all the offspring, all the next gen people, and if he will do anything after that. I mean, it'd be fine with me. I mean, the only thing, because the thing is that Next Generation series aren't a problem. It's the idea of how they're handled. I think the issue with Boruto is that Boruto's manga is so goddamn slow, and Boruto's anime is so riddled with filler stuff to where I think there was a side-by-side comparison. It was like episode 32 or something of Naruto, and it's the scene where Sasuke's got that Sound Village guy in the ground, and he's pulling his arms back, and he's gonna snap both of his arms out of his socket. And then it's like the scene in Boruto, and it's like Boruto and his sister like playing with like drawings or something, like drawing with chalk or some shit. And it's the fact that Boruto doesn't feel like Naruto. Obviously, it's its own series in a way, but it's so deterred away. Like, it should still follow a lot of the formula of a lot of shonen. Like, you have an arc, and it's, like, serious, and there's action, and, have all these different things. And it's in between arcs. You have small character moments, you have more fun chapters, but it also has more to do, like, we're going to have some character defined moments. We're going to have some interactions with some characters that might lead to something further. The problem with the Boruto anime is it's way too much slice of life aspects. It's way too much just characters standing around doing stuff that doesn't matter. And then it's kind of like reverse. You'll get like all this filler and all this kind of like slice of life stuff, and then in between that you'll get a couple serious episodes of of really something that people care about, and then it gets back to stuff that nobody fucking cares about. But I haven't watched the anime lately. I believe it's starting to pick back up. I think they were just waiting to get to that whole the fight with Momoshiki is building up to that. I don't know. Am I gonna review Samurai? I already reviewed Samurai. Go check it out. It's on my channel. Undefined Top Hat. I reviewed Samurai. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I think I talked about it in my review. One of the highlights for the chapter that I really liked was the power system and that was laid out there. Is like your soul does. It's the whole power system, and it's not like soul energy. It's like your soul does all these things, and it's not just the idea of your soul that you can use as a weapon. It's kind of like you have to be a samurai to do it, but to be a samurai, when you commit seppuku, you have to have the soul of a samurai to be chosen by a kala. And we wonder if it's actually a kala choosing them, or if it's like you're trying to make your soul go through this process. And if your soul's compatible to the system and the way that it goes, then it'll survive. And maybe if it doesn't, because it's not compatible to break down. I thought it was awesome. The idea of, you take out a sword handle and you put your soul, you're putting your soul on it, and it takes a unique shape. You can put it on as armor. It's whatever, the manifestation of who you are, your soul clad onto you for like a warrior garment, or put onto your mount. I thought that was a really cool aspect. I liked the story that was teased at the start. I thought that was interesting. Holds a lot of potential. The main characters, he's all right from what we got. I thought it was cool. I liked the interactions with him and his dad. I thought that, that holds a lot of interesting ways that could go. Obviously his story of him going from a cripple into, now being able to be a samurai. And so now he's going to be able to do all these things. Just running around is going to be amazing to him, because he couldn't actually do that. But I think my favorite part of that whole chapter and the whole layout of the series so far is just the way that the powers work. I thought that was really cool, and it has a lot of potential. Because you could literally just have a whole arc where it's like you have to retrieve this soul, and it's like maybe it was actually a setup, but in a way to go against the people set him up, Hachimaru takes the soul of some legendary character, puts it on a sword, and now he's got a legendary sword. Or maybe he puts it into his mount, and now his mount specifically has a legendary buff. There's a lot they could do with it, and I think that's really cool. Definitely interested in how that goes. Yeah, Lucy had some important moments, and Alvarez helping beat Jacob by setting her guildmates free. Lucy's great. I love Lucy. I'm gonna do a video on her eventually on why I think she's one of the best shonen female leads for so many aspects. I don't want to get into it right now, but look for that in the future. What's your favorite OP of the season? Mine is Black Clover opening 7, Attack on Titan opening. I haven't watched the new Attack on Titan opening. Actually, I watched part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. And Demon Slayer opening 1. I really like Fairy Tail opening 25 and Black Clover opening 7. I liked Fairy Tail opening 1, the new ones, so 23 and 24. I liked 23, but it wasn't that much. 24 grew on me. I really liked 25. I haven't watched a lot of the new anime. I still need to. I watched Fairy Gone, but I only watched the first few episodes. I need to get back to that at some point. And I do plan on watching Fire Force for sure. I definitely want to keep up with Fire Force. I'm glad that that's getting anime. I want to get back to reviewing the manga soon, but I want to reread it, and that way I can get everything fresh in my mind. Because I don't want to jump on the manga, reviewing again, and just have forgotten all these different things in the past. Because there's definitely stuff when I read the last couple chapters of wondering whether or not what chapter something like this information came from. So I'll go back and read it before I start doing reviews on it again. Julius was a true Magic Emperor. I wish they went with Magic Emperor instead of Wizard King, because I know they when they say it in the anime, it's I don't know how it's properly spelled in kanji and pronounced, but I know they say Maho and wizard is what, Madoshi, or I don't know how it's properly, again, I don't know how it's properly pronounced, but they're two different. I think Magic Emperors makes more sense, but and I feel like it would, in their world, they would also have it not be king, because you have an actual king, and instead of just Magic Emperor. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just a small thing. But yeah, I really like Julius too. He's awesome. I'll still eventually get there. His death was truly a huge step that the Black Clover needed, in my opinion. I think it's going to be really interesting after this arc to see how a lot of characters react to Julius's death. I think that's going to be a really cool thing to look forward to, but also sad. Well, careful, Rex. I heard Kubo can be a real asshole. He argues with his editors a lot and got mad at Oda for winning a one-shot contest. Yeah, Kubo apparently is very known for not liking other people, and I mean that's fine. I'm wondering how much of the way that we see a lot of the mangakas, like I feel like a lot of them are genuine, but I'm wondering how much of the when they display themselves is for public image. They want to come off as nicer, which makes sense. But I like that Kubo Kubo is just one of the guys that stands out for just kind of being a bitter asshole, and sometimes that's fine, whatever. I still like Kubo. I'm sure he's not a mean guy. I'm sure that he just has personal grudges. I know he doesn't like Oda. Yeah, he won some contest. I remember hearing that story. But again, whatever. What is the Insect Kingdom ideal coming along? I've been working. I thought of a little bit of it recently, because one of the things I really want to make different is like I want to plan out the main villain a lot more. For those who don't know, I'm slowly on the back burner working on a story. I haven't written anything down. I have a couple, but this is one that I've talked about, and I know what I kind of want to do with the main villain, but I haven't written out their story or had an idea with them yet. I don't even really have a name for them, but I'll get to it at some point. But okay. Would Luffy's final enemy be Im? We don't know if Im is going to be a physical fight or not. I feel like Im will. I'm wondering about that. It's a mystery. The only thing right now I've got really on my mind about One Piece is I've seen a lot of One Piece people talk about what's left in the series, because there's always the question of like how many chapters are left, how many arcs are left. Personally, I see it as Wano, the final war, the big battle, and then Raftel, which will probably be Luffy's crew versus Shanks' crew. And I've seen people talk about like Elbaf and the moon. I don't know. Elbaf, I don't see how Elbaf will be an arc. And I don't mean that I don't think Oda could make a story. I'm sure Oda can make a story to go into Elbaf. It looks cool. They have that whole kind of very cool Viking style to it, very cool Viking mythology design. But what I mean by that is, what would be the reason to go there? Because, and even if we went there, what's the challenge? They're going through Kaido right now. They're going through the man in the One Piece world who, at least that we know of, is the single most powerful being. It would be a weird downgrade to go from there to go to Elbaf. And we already saw in Big Mom's flashback that she, at 6, trashed like everybody in Elbaf. And one thing that does bother me about One Piece is that the giants are always hyped, but none of the giants ever live up to their hype. They always get trashed. And then going to the moon, I don't know why they would go to the moon. I don't know how. There's stuff on one of the moons out of what One Piece is 8 moons. How would they get there? And the idea that Im is telling them, seemingly of putting out a decree of execution on one character, whatever the exact explanation what he was doing. And I feel like it's gonna be Luffy, and I feel like once he says for that to get done, it's gonna get done immediately. There's not gonna be we have to file the paperwork. It's gonna be this is probably the most influential man on the planet. So it's gonna get done immediately upon word, at least set out to do. I don't know how they could do a moon arc. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, the new Chainsaw Man chapter was very unholy. I love Chainsaw Man. It's so weird. It's so unexpected. It takes such a weird direction than most shonen. I talked about it in my review. Is a lot of shonen they'll have a setup. I think everyone here has watched at least one harem anime or read a harem manga, where it's always a part where a main character, it's they're set up, they're gonna bang out this chick, and it's in a normal scenario, there's no way that it could possibly go wrong, but some circumstance happens and it doesn't go well, and then you have this occurrence happen 5 more times in an arc, and somehow the main character's always getting screwed over and they don't get to bang out any of these chicks. But Chainsaw Man legitimately feels like in the next chapter, the next chapter of Chainsaw Man, it starts with Denji pulling up his pants and he just banged out Himeno. Wouldn't surprise me at all, because it's so different. And the author, again, I knew Chainsaw Man was going to be different when I saw the author was the guy who made Fire Punch, and he's been proven that theory correct, and I've been loving it. Really quick, if you haven't yet, I'd really appreciate it if you're new, subscribe to the channel, check out my videos, and if you're just here in general, if you could thumbs up the stream, give it a thumbs up or friend the like button, and I really appreciate you guys for showing up and chatting. And I enjoy talking to everybody here today. Let's see what else we got here. Seeing how Amira is brutal, like shooting a kid. Do you think that Gia will be like Cypher Pole from One Piece and have a huge enemies for Shiki and the gang? I'm wondering if they're their own group or they're related to the Star Federation army. I think that with her brutality though, she does take into account like, well, these are digital creatures. They're not real. I mean, I feel like that's a weird thing that a lot of people would probably struggle with. Are these real people? Would I feel bad about killing them? If they're just data versus killing a normal person. Obviously, we don't know. We know Shiki's backstory enough to get why he doesn't care whether they're data or not. So it would depend on whether or not if she would kill a flesh and blood human or alien from any species to really fall under that same kind of idea. Because probably to her, it was just like playing a video game. I don't know. She's definitely dangerous. Definitely dangerous. I'm just wondering what the influence is. Because I think the gap with Cypher Pole is Cypher Pole was like this super undercover group. And like not that many people probably knew about Cypher Pole. And we don't know whether or not we're going to get that with Gia. We'll see. Because I only know two characters rather, because Jesse. So we'll see as it's progressing. Idealism versus cynicism. Maybe. Do you play Dragon Ball Xenoverse? I haven't played it in a long time, but I have it on the PC. Has anyone seen the new season of Lucifer? I haven't. I've only seen a couple random episodes. You think Zareth would be a good Wizard King, love Alvarez, and very intelligent? Yeah, probably. I mean, as long as if you took away the fact that the curse of the contradiction was on his mind, he'd be great. Because that was the only thing that would kind of be dangerous is he's got this curse that if he doesn't use his cheats, then he's probably going to be killing everybody, whether he's in control or he's not in control. Nozzle may be a douchebag, but he does have the good qualities, like allowing Aston Union to go back to their home to defend it. Oh, yeah. The thing about Nozzle, and I won't go into this too much because I've talked about it before, is he seems very much more of having an idea of the other Magic Knights being capable of doing their job and defending the kingdom. We saw that back in the invasion in the early 20s when the Eye of the Midnight Sun attacked. Nozzle didn't respect Asta, but after seeing that he was capable of doing his job, he then gave him some cred, and we saw that again with Noel earlier in this arc, and that seems to be much more it is. He seems more like as long as he doesn't think you're dead weight in the Magic Knights, he'll probably be okay with you. You think that we'll get to see bits of Dobby's backstory in this fight with the Ice Guy, like Toga? Yeah, I mean, it's plausible. We'll probably get an explanation. I swear to God, legitimately, and this is a legitimate complaint. I swear to God, well, I guess it's not a complaint, potential complaint for the future. I swear to God, if Horikoshi, similar to the arc when he went up again and straight up confronted Endeavor, if he cock teases that reveal again, I'm gonna be pissed off. Because it's such an obvious, like, it's like fucking, it's like with Obito, Toby being Obito, it was like one of those things where you need to know, even if it's obvious, but it'd be like if that chapter was at 600 when the mask, 599, I think, when the mask got broken, and then 500 was like the flashback and the mask fell off. It'd be like the mask broke, fell, and then you saw the bottom of his chin, and then it was like the next chapter at Sasuke for like 10 chapters, and then again then it gets back and it's like, oh, it's Obito. If after this arc, or even after this fight, if we don't find out what the relationship is between Endeavor and Dobby, I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm gonna be legit. It won't be like, damn, I didn't like where I didn't like where Horikoshi took this. I'm just gonna be like, God damn it, stop cock teasing like this. It started to piss me off. I don't think he will. I feel like he'll get it done this arc, and if he doesn't, I'll be salty as hell. It would be probably a team fight against Endgame Shigaraki. Major message of My Academia is that you can't do it by yourself. I mean, yeah, but Deku's got 7 quirks. What are the other people on his team gonna be able to do at that point once he gets to the level that he needs to be? Like, once he gets to that endgame level, I don't know how anybody's gonna be able to keep up with them. Rather, It's gonna. I feel like it's gonna be just like if Goku was fighting somebody, and it's like Krillin is like, "I'm here to help," but it's like I appreciate the effort, but you're gonna get in the way, so get the fuck out of here. It's like really, what are any of these guys gonna be able to contribute to? What are they gonna be able to contribute to fighting Dabi or not Dabi, fighting Shigaraki once they get to like endgame material? I mean, obviously their quirks can evolve, but how is it going to be enough that it's like Deku, 7 quirks? One of them by itself is the top singular quirk in the world. It's so OP. And he's struggling. What are we going to do? Hang on, let me throw grapes at him. I don't know. My issue with Shigaraki isn't that like I don't like his character. Obviously he's getting the reason I didn't like his character was done on purpose. Very obvious was done on purpose that he was incompetent, but obviously in this arc he's getting character development and progression, so that's obviously going to change. My only real issue with him in general is the fact that his power is so OP and Deku doesn't have a means to go against that. I've talked about it a few times before. It'd be like you have an OP character in Black Clover Fairy Tail and they're go up against, main character. It's different when the main character has a way to deal with it. Asta's got his magic, anti-magic, so like this attack could hit me, it could do damage, but bam, anti-magic's it off. Or with Natsu, it's doing damage, dragon fire, burn it off, but it still does damage. If Deku gets in range, because it's not if he gets grabbed by all 5 fingers. Now if he gets in range of this apparent super Shigaraki, he's dead. There's no way for him to counter that. He's literally going to be too much for him. And that's my only problem with is Deku doesn't have a means to counteract. And it'd be different if it was an arc villain, like Overhaul. But this is the main big villain. So it's going to be a lot harder for it to really be as... Well, I don't want to make it sound like negative. I don't want this to sound like negative. It's more towards the idea that I don't want it to be like a cop-out or any issue, or rather make it seem like, or one of those like, oh, only Deku can do it because of X reason kind of things, or you have to have a specific character there in order to assist. I don't want it to be anything where it becomes a problem. Something like Juhan Bleach was super OP, but Ichigo never had any hacks. He never had any broken powers to combat that. He never had anything to really deal with that. Whereas you had something like Zeref, who has all this like death magic, he can stop time and all these things, but he could counteract what Zeref could do because he's got fire that can burn their magic. So he's got his scarf, so the death magic itself it could absorb it and block him. From E&D powers, he could time stop doesn't work on him. He pretty much just like follows into time stop. And what with like Ichigo, it was like you, instead of giving him a power through all these things, all this development to make him strong enough to be able to compete with him, you made it so they kind of pulled out this ass pull item to cancel out its powers. I don't know. I'm worried. It's more of a worry of like he's making Shigaraki too OP and Deku. Deku doesn't have anything to deal with that, and the only way he's gonna be able to deal with that is if he somehow never gets hit. And I don't know. I'm worried about it, but Horikoshi's the only one that really knows. Even if I'm paranoid about what can happen, I still believe he's got a handle on things because it's his story. I don't think he's gonna just build up Shigaraki to be some absurd fucking character, super powerful, and then be like, I forgot to make it so Deku could do something about this. Better make his next power super convenient. I don't think he'll do that. At least I hope he won't. I put my faith into him that he won't do that. Anyway, what was I? Got completely distracted. I was talking about Shigaraki. Where was I? I'm trying to look exactly. I was Andre. So last Psyche's gotten to a part with more Nuebo users. Wonder where everyone else differentiates them. That's what I'm very much interested in. Because I like the Nuebo. That's my favorite thing about last Psyche so far. As I said, similar to in my for Samurai 8, like the power system itself can be very interesting to me and by a basic standard. And I like the Nyoibo. I like that it's a very basic and power, a very basic weapon that seemingly anybody can use that's had their mouth opened or however that's pronounced. But it's also just a stick. You can adjust that. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And there, you saw that guy who has like this big sword. Maybe it's a big sword, but it's got a Nyoibo handle, so he can pretty much manipulate it to be like a sword. It has super range. He could manipulate it so it'll bend. He could do all these crazy things with it. So maybe he's got like a pole arm with like a rubber effect, where it's just completely manipulative, and he could go in any direction. He could swing it in one direction, but it can maybe like bend it, like make it grow so it twists and comes down another one. Or maybe he could have like a Noibo that has a blade on the end of it, but it grows in like a spiral formation, so it becomes pretty much a drill. I don't know. There's a lot there that I think could really come out of that, and that's what I'm very much interested in Last Saiki's Noibos. Noibos in general, I really want to see creativity with the Noibos, because I think they're really cool. Yeah, I read that. I reviewed Samurai 8. Go check it out. I liked it. I think that it would be cool to see August interact with Mavis and his uncle Natsu and Irene reconcile with Urza. I mean, yeah, but I feel like it'd be weird if it was that August, because he's been serving Zareth for what, like almost 100 years, and yet then he's just like, well, I guess I'll be with Fairy Tail now. I like the idea of him reincarnating and like having like a weird kind of like in the back of his mind take on everything, but still being like have it influence who he is now, but still being a different character in a way. We're finally get to see Natsu and Gray face off in the anime. Oh my god, I really hope they don't do shitty animation, please. I mean, there's only legitimately in this entire arc, the two fights that I wanted most to be animated three fights. The three fights in this entire arc that I care a lot about. Well, 4 fights that I care a lot about. 3 of them that I really want the anime to do well. Oh, yeah, the first one that I care a lot about is Laxus versus Wall, because that fight in general, it in itself was great. I didn't like how Laxus pulled out the red lightning. I thought that was dumb. I didn't think that it was dumb. I thought it was kind of an ass pull. Obviously, it had meaning behind it, but I didn't like that it kind of just happened and there was no real foreshadowing to it. I don't know. And Wall is my favorite member of the Spriggan 12, and there's still a possibility he could come back, but very unlikely. There's still an existence of the fact that Jenny Realight, who is Takeover Magic, she's Machina Soul, she could easily have, because she was in Hargion, she could easily have, oh, I'm going to take over this super powerful machine dude, and now I'm going to have to take over Machina Soul Wall, and then take on his form, or at least like his form onto her body, and then maybe the fact that it's still him, he uploads himself into a different program, or she uses an attack, and it ends up just being like making a new body form, and he's just like, later bitch, and then just leaves. It could happen, because he's based off Ultron, so he could easily, make a machine to pretty much just out there. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. It's just something I hope to happen. I don't know if it will happen. Goku, Naruto, Luffy, and Ichigo, Toriko versus Thanos. Is this MCU Thanos? Because MCU Thanos isn't that strong except with the gauntlet. I know comic Thanos is way different. I mean, they could probably beat MCU Thanos unless he has the gauntlet. I like the... oh my god, I've seen that word, but I never pronounce it right. Dichotomy? Dichotomy? I don't know. God damn it. I hate that word because I've seen it so many times, but I can never remember how to pronounce it. Of ancient advanced technology within this world of spiritual magic. It's cool. I think it's very interesting. Oh, I must have skipped those. Now I'm getting back to where I was. I like Black Clover. Makes 6 better than 7, but that's just me. I really like 7. I like 6. Black Clover has super solid opening. 7, though, I really like. I like 7 more than 6. Black Clover has been going really well as far as teamwork is concerned. Yeah, that's one of their biggest things. Because it's not every arc. It doesn't seem like Asa's like, how am I going to, figure out how I can defeat this villain in this arc. It's a lot of the times it's more of how can we create a strategy and a team combo so we can defeat them. And I think that's cool because Asta works really well with a lot of people. He's very friendly, and I think that's pretty cool to see how they're going to go about it. Do you think Urza and Mira were ever near equal in strength, or was Urza always superior? Well, they used to be. They were equal to each other until the whole Lisanna accident, and Mira just pretty much didn't fight for a couple years, she just was off on the sidelines being a model and a bar waitress. Before then, they were equal, and obviously, like since then, Urza got stronger. And Mira Jane just has like random moments where it looks like she's gonna get a bigger part and be relevant, but she ends up not. I mean, she's gotten her own spotlights, but the only real big fight, the only fight she's really had in the series where it was against Sayla, like with Freed, it was like she stomped the hell out of Freed. With Sayla, it was like Sayla stomped the hell out of her the second the fight got serious. And then but she ended up kind of like turning it around, and that was cool. And then Azuma just whooped her ass. I'm wondering why she didn't. She should have whipped out Halphys at that point. Like Halphys is way stronger than the base Satan Soul. I wish that they would use that in the manga, because that anime arc is in fact canon. Which anime or manga should I watch because I'm bored of watching the same anime over and over again? Which anime? Oh, it depends. What are you interested in, Joshua? I'm gonna rewatch Code Geass soon. Oh, I saw that they added it to Netflix, so I want to rewatch it because I haven't seen the new movie. I thought it was going to be a season, but apparently it's just a movie. So I'll get to that at some point. I've always really loved Code Geass. Code Geass is good stuff, and I wanna get back to it because I'm wondering if this movie maybe will add to a continuation or something, or if it's just going to be the singular movie. I don't know. Do you think? Wait, almost skipped over one. Who would you want to see Chainsaw Man team up with between Guts and the Goblin Slayer? The Goblin Slayer, because Guts is, he's calm now because he's finally got the camaraderie that he wanted again. All his rage is when he puts out his armor. With the Goblin Slayer, like he'd be perfectly happy. With Guts, it would be kind of weird because Guts would probably just probably try to like wonder what the fuck this dude is doing. But with the Goblin Slayer, you could just like. Hey, I didn't tell you I have a power-up for him. And he'd be like, is it going to be useful to fighting goblins? Denji pulls the chain on the startup cord on his chest, goes Chainsaw Man, and fucking the Goblin Slayer would probably be so happy. And he's like, we're going to be best friends. And then you just get like a montage with like the happiest music, and it's just them running into goblin dens. And you just see like blood splatters and the screams of goblins silenced over the audio of like Over the Rainbow or something. Some like really happy like music that's just a pleasant, nice song, but over just genocide. Do you think Licht will tell Asta some tricks of the weapons? Yeah, I'm 100% sure that something like that is going to happen, unless he ends up not there, because one of the larger things coming out of this arc is what they're going to be like afterwards. What is the Clover Kingdom going to be like with these elves in it? Are they going to form like a joint union, or are they going to... is Sally going to build more bodies for them, and then elves and humans will live amongst each other again? There's a lot of questions that are following this. I think this is going to be a really cool arc to see being like followed by, because it's not like any of the previous arc. This arc has a lot of heavy damages to like not just the environment of their people, but like the structure of their country in general. Cork Awakening goes Devil Fruit Awakening. I mean, yeah, but fucking Devil Fruit Awakening seems to never happen. Don't get me started on how annoyed I am with Oda about Devil Fruit Awakening. It reminds me a lot right now about like Seven Deadly Sins or Meliodas. Like, I'm gonna introduce Enduraform. It's gonna be like a super power up for the demons that any of these really powerful demons can do, but it's a last resort. And you have the main character who's immortal, who logically would be able to go into this form and then potentially, because of his curse, revert back. And that could be the big thing about him, and maybe the big thing about the Demon King. But I'm never going to do that. Instead, I'm going to just give Meliodas new forms, and I'm never going to have any of the demons do Endura after this flashback, including any of the ones that already are going to die and know they're going to die, and they're in a deadly situation. Oh... That's how I feel about Oda with Awakening. Instead of Luffy getting Awakening and he should have got it in Whole Cake Island. He should have gotten Whole Cake Island and through that battle, and then this arc, and leading up through this arc and all the acts should have been him honing Awakening and getting good at it and mastering it through as this is going. And then just giving Luffy more powers, because then at what point is he going to unlock Awakening? And he's going to fight maybe in the middle of the Kaido fight, and then somehow he's going to be able to use it to an extent to beat Kaido. That's going to be stupid if he does that. Or in the following arc, which is probably going to be the last, like the big final war arc, is he going to unlock Awakening? And then what, in the middle of the war? It's Oh, so annoying. It's so annoying the fact that you introduce these powers and then don't do anything with them. Why? Why would they do that? It's not like something like Fairy Tale. Here's Lost Aspect. Here's a Lost Aspect. It's a super instant, like it's a massive power up, but in return you get erased pretty much, and no one remembers you. And it's lost. It's a lost ability to add on to whatever power you have. So not that many people know about it. So it's a last resort. Only a handful of characters know about it, and the only character we know that can that's alive that can do it is Gray. And Gray, logically at this point, will not do it. The only logical way Gray would ever do it at this point, as if in the future or at any point like during his existence, as if it's either he dies or maybe Juvia when they finally officially become a couple, or their children. Like if Gray's in a deadly situation, it's like either can do this or my kids die. Then him doing it makes sense. But like it's a power up where it's very situational, it's very limited, versus like Awakening or Enduro where it's literally a setup to why else would you not do it, and it's an automatic thing for so many of these big characters to have. Why would they not? Oh my god, I'm so annoyed by that. What's up, Sammy? How's it going? I saw you message me on Discord. I'll reply to that after the stream. I'm gonna go for a little bit longer. Obviously, Game of Thrones is tonight. I want to watch that. This is going to be apparently the biggest episode of the season. I know a lot of people have been disappointed with it, but I mean, it's the fact that I don't get some of the logic behind the people doing the season, because they could have extended stuff out way more, because people wait for it. I mean, Game of Thrones is the biggest TV show in the world right now. If they said we're gonna do a whole season on the Long Night, and the next season is gonna be just them versus everyone in King's Landing, it'd be fine. Or if they want to build it out more, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like they want to keep going. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Because it's like 6 episodes. They could have easily went longer, and even if people had to wait, they'd be fine with it, because it's such a big show. And even if they're like, damn it, I have to wait longer, it'd be like, but I know I'm gonna like it. I know a lot of people have been disappointed by it. I've liked most of the stuff they've done. I've definitely had the complaints. I'm sad that poor Ghost got banished, pretty much, of just John just like, all right, take Ghost. Let him go live, and let him go live beyond the wall or some shit. I'm just like, why are they doing this? Do you think Jesse's ether gear will be more of the lines of trickery and something physical or undestructive? We don't know if he's gonna have ether gear, because ether gear is very, very mysterious, and we don't know the criteria of getting ether gear. Like, in the idea of, if you were just some guy and you're like, I want ether gear, would you have to go to a black market? Because we've only seen it so far as like in the Eden Zero ship, but the Eden Zero ship isn't a normal ship. It's, a big legendary super ship. So we don't know if it has special properties that other ships might not have. It's kind of we'll probably get something along the way, maybe a character obtaining it. Because that's one thing I did like about the CP9 arc in One Piece, was seeing a character like, hey, we got you devil fruits, and then like we got it off, we bought these pretty much. They got it on like a market for trade, and then gave it to them. I wish we could see one where it's literally growing on the tree, and then someone plucks it and eats it. Somewhere I'd like to see in Eden Zero, someone like finding, like, if they found an ether gear, would it be like the symbols of the that go on you, just like floating in space, like just like as an energy, and it's just existing somewhere, like, if you're playing a video game and there's an item just floating around on like a pedestal kind of like deal. I don't know. I think about that makes me really want to play the game Drakken again. There's one part, if you never played that game, it's a really good old computer game from like, I think it's from 99 or 2000. And there's one part where it's like, there's this whole level, and in the middle of the level, as you're progressing through the rooms, there's like I think it's a set of armor, and then you unlock all these there's these hidden levers all over the level. It's not important. You don't have to do it. It's just one of those extra things. And you as you go progress the level, if you actually find all the levers, do it, you get this like pretty good set of armor. And it's just kind of what I was thinking about, is like the idea of it's just on this pedestal, and you just find it, maybe in like an adventure arc, maybe they go in like a lost planet or something. I don't know. We'll see at some point, probably. Deku's come trash compared to the other characters in anime. I wouldn't call Deku trash. I don't hate Deku. I just don't. The only thing about Deku that I haven't really liked is I haven't liked the idea of. I just don't like the idea of him having so many quirks, and that has been a legit complaint. Like, I've seen a lot of people have. Some people are alright with it. Obviously, At the end of the day, Horikoshi is the only one that knows where it's really going to go. But I just don't understand the idea of introducing. You have super strength, right? You have super strength, and not only is it super strength because you're able to move with extreme muscular fortitude. You're able to pretty much super jump, essentially. One heavy step to where you're moving to another location at super speed. Your body is obviously very durable, so now you have super durability. And it's like, okay, how do I advance this? Okay, I'm able to do like stuff like flicking and thunderclaps, do shockwaves. How can you progress it more? Martial arts, and then they have Cork like advancing tech gear. And then you didn't have one, but you had two different characters who specialize in making gear that enhances your quirks. Like you had, I don't remember their names either. There's the chick from the movie, and then there's the chick, I don't remember the fuck her name is, from the support department or whatever. Again, I don't remember their names because they're not important, unfortunately. You think they would be. And I don't get why Deku, who's supposed to be, he's smart. His whole thing is he's smart, analytical, and that's one of the aspects about him that, helps him in a lot of ways, even though we don't see much of it anymore. Why would he not get gear to where he can use it more of strategizing? And it could be cool if he had, like, 3 or 4 pieces of gear on him, and it's like, okay, if I do these things, I can set this up. Like, imagine he had those gauntlets, like, he had gauntlets of a kind. Yeah, Melissa and Hatsume. Thank you, Kid Otaku. Just imagine if he had, also, welcome to the stream, how's it going? Imagine if he had these gauntlets, right? He has these gauntlets, or just gear in general. And every time he threw an attack, like, it absorbs a little bit of it. So it's all stored up. And it's like, okay, after I do so many attacks, I have 100% attacks ready to go. And it doesn't do damage to him because of the way that it's built up. But just the way that it is, it's more of like a strategic way. And so you could do like moving really quick and without having to do the motion, literally just like having your fist in their direction, and then you're pretty much punching the air or the person with 100%. Or it's like maybe you have it and then you put in 20% and then bam, you have 120% attack. I don't know, it's a complaint that I have, but it's only a complaint of like my idea for the series. Again, even though I can say like this is what I would do, this is what I think should happen, I'm not the one controlling the series. The only person that controlling the series is Horikoshi, and then to a degree his editors. At the end of the day, he's the one in charge, and even when people have their own fan ideas of what they think should happen, it just means that you've been putting a lot of thought into the series, and you're putting in enough effort to think in depth of a situation or a character or how you think something's going to happen in the future. Which even of a way that you're like, I don't like where this is happening, you're still putting in effort and work. And I think that even if you're a little bit negative about it, as long as you're not hating just to bash. Like, you're giving criticism, and it's still a discussion. It's something. It's enjoyable to talk about. Wait, I think I skipped over Sammy's comment. Let me go back. Oh, wait, no. Wait, did I? No, I did. I'm sorry, Sammy. It's true that Shigaraki is awesome. I kind of wish that his story was never Deku. Fuck him, I want Shigaraki as MC. I think it'd be cool to have him as the MC. It'd be weird if... I'm wondering if maybe before... he could have had his story and maybe kept this cool, crazy MC, but you have to give him a different power. Because the thing about the main character has to have a very fun ability that is versatile and has room to grow. Like, obviously we have Asta. His anti-magic can be used in different ways. There's different swords that we're getting as the story progresses. I don't know. Like, the only thing that... With the one-shot power, I feel like it'd be too hard to have him be a main character. You'd have to give him a different power, but you could still give him that really fucked up backstory. I think it'd be really cool to have him, like... Imagine if he had a Deku personality. But in reality, that's just what he puts on. And then you see, like, a fight where he pretty much just lets loose, and that psychotic form of him comes out, and he just starts going wild. And then you find out the reason why is slowly bits of his backstory. That'd be pretty sick. I don't know. I like the points of almost an Attack on Titan of Hero Academia, where you have something like an arc where you just don't expect, like the current arc or the Endeavor arc. I thought that was really cool. I really liked that arc. I don't know. I really wish they would just get to more hero stuff and we get finished with all the school stuff. I mean, it's obviously, it has academia in the name, but like the I think a lot of people, there are a lot of people that enjoyed the previous arc, but there are also a ton of people that didn't like the last arc. But I've been really enjoying this arc, which I think is funny because I stopped reviewing it by chapter because I was like, I'm not having fun reviewing this, and I don't want to go week by week hating on what's going on. And then like right after I stopped, like it was like 2 chapters after that, it got really exciting again. God damn it. Oh well. But as it is, I'm enjoying it as the series is progressing. What's your favorite anti-magic sword? I like the first one. The first one is my favorite. The demon beheading. Wait, demon beheading sword? Yeah, demon beheading sword, demon dweller sword, and the demon destroyer sword. I really like the first one. It's my favorite design. I like how versatile it is. The second one is the most OP for sure. It's definitely the most OP. But I really like the first one. For the first one, it's like I'm wondering what the third one would do, because like the idea is like you had the first one, because when Julius held them, they each had a different effect in general. Because the fact that the first one is pretty much just anti-magic repellent to, he holding on to it, it was pretty much messing with him holding his magic in general was getting like messed with. He wouldn't have had control of it. Or the second one, because obviously it drains magic, as he was holding on to it, it was draining magic instead. So I'm wondering what the third one would do if he held it in general. Like maybe it would mess up the way his spells worked. Like maybe he could still use them, but they didn't function properly. Like maybe he would use it, and instead of like I shot an orb at something, and like that orb, because the way his time balls worked, like bam, everything within that sphere is aged into dust. Maybe like chunks of it wouldn't be or something. I don't know. Where was I? Amir revealed that Jess knows Homura somehow. Do you think he does? Maybe. I mean, there's still so many things in a lot of these characters' backstories we don't know. I'm wondering when we're gonna get stuff on Valkyrie. We'll probably get a mention of her this arc, because I still have my theory that she's one of the Ratio and Says Galactica, and I think it would make sense with the fact that like Ziggy is just like go do whatever. I don't give a fuck. Go live your life however you see fit. I feel like one of them went to be evil, and when you have one that apparently is like known for being like she's got a weird attitude toward, she's definitely gonna be like wanting to fight given how Homura is, then it's gonna make sense that she pretty much like went the ways of becoming a criminal, and then as a villain, probably how you end up being able to find like all these other big dangerous people, and then probably the fact that Ziggy, maybe she wanted to kind of follow and lead her own like big dangerous crew after he did. Yeah, Deku's trash. I already read that one. I don't agree. I don't think Deku's trash. Just because he's not my favorite, doesn't mean I hate him. An army of golems versus an army of robots. What? Army of golems? Golem hearts. You're gonna make me sad. What are your 3 fights you care about? Oh, the 3 fights in Alvarez. Did I stop talking about? I feel like I stopped talking about in the middle of that because I talking about Wall. Oh, but the 3 ones that I really wanted to see animated well were Natsu versus Gray for the obvious reasons, Natsu versus Zera for obvious reasons, and the Dragon Slayers versus Acnologia because that fight was way too short. Again, I have my own theories about why that fight was so short and why exactly it was. It went the ways it did. I have my own theories of what went on behind the scenes, why it felt so rushed in a lot of areas. But the pacing, at least for Natsu versus Zeref, was very well placed. It didn't feel rushed at any point. It just felt like it was going pretty nice. The only thing in that fight that it was like, why didn't he do more? Why didn't he do more? Just do more cool tricks. Well, with the fairy heart in there, but whatever. It was just like a pretty cool, it had good choreography. It had really good character moments between them as well. I like that fight. Obviously, I'm hoping the anime extends out Acnologia against the Dragon Slayers, and I believe that they're going to have his backstory in there as well. I believe they're going to get to that. I feel like the anime is definitely going to get that in there. I counted like once we were at the halfway point of where the anime's at, they were past the halfway point of the arc. So I feel like they've got an episode spot pushed aside for Acnologia's backstory, which would be really cool once we get there. We'll see. I'm hoping so. I really don't want them to skip over that in the anime as well, unless they want to do like a novel. Hiroshima, you want to do a novel? You do a spin-off series of a couple volumes of Acnologia's backstory. I'm cool with that too. I want to see about that. What do you compare Tanjiro to the other new shonen main characters? I like him. He's like Deku, where I like him. I don't have strong feelings towards him. I enjoy what they do. I'd say I like Tanjiro more than Deku though, but I still like them. My favorite main characters right now in Shonen Jump, and really the only ones that really I get excited to see at all points are Asta. I love Asta. He's just a good kid. He's fun to watch. And Denji, just because Denji's an absolute fucking wild card weirdo, and just Everything about Chainsaw Man is awesome. I'm sad how Ward and Haguma got canceled because it had a lot of potential. Its villains were very interesting, but sadly it didn't make the cut. Oh well, I hope the author tries again for another series. What do you think the concept of giant cyber moths? Moths of the kinship of this channel. I miss my moths, but I feel like my layout makes more sense now. I carried over a little bit into my weird OC design that I had someone draw for me. But we need more moths. I would love to see some more moths. I don't know if I'd do sci-fi. I've always been a fantasy person. If I was going to do sci-fi, I'd like it to be more like in Fairy Tail, where you just have like sci-fi as pretty much a small, like, contained aspect of one, like, kind of like branch. So you had the Machias, and you had a couple, like, technological people, but it wasn't as widespread. It was very much, like, smaller kept, so you didn't have an issue of, like, too much sci-fi, like, running over everything, and then you have a big mixture of all these different genre pieces where it starts to overshadow another. Because I definitely have always liked fantasy the most. That's just always been it's always been my preference of series to check out. You think Runosuke and Tanjiro are very similar to protect their sister storylines? I mean, they definitely have that aspect to them, but there's a lot of character differences. I really want to see where Ryunosuke goes with this, because his is different, because he's just he's got to protect her while defeating all these monsters so they can pretty much end the possibility of those followers of chaos trying to pretty much destroy the world. And Tanjiro's just trying to fix his sister, but he's also trying to protect other people in the process, because it's also part of his job as a demon slayer. I always lose track just because I start ranting and rambling on, and then I don't pay attention to where I was in the chat. So I mean, okay, there we go. I kind of want Asta's grimoire to be purified, kind of like it's white, and the gold trim and 5-leaf would remain obviously pitch black. So there's the idea. So there's the idea that I had. If you check out I did a video theory on it. Is that with Asta, the idea is that when we see Licht use the swords, all that kind of like black layering of it goes away, and then they seem more powerful when he uses it. And Asta, the way that he's using his form, his anti-magic form, as he's pretty much absorbing the magic the anti-magic going into the swords and putting it onto his body. So if he could absorb enough of it out of the sword to where pretty much all that anti-magic that's layered over the sword is just going straight in his body, maybe he could make that layer of anti-magic over it, instead of going into the sword, just straight go into his body. So he could be in that form, and the sword will be white, because every single time like any of the energy tries to go onto the sword, it's just going and empowering Asta instead. I think that'd be really cool, because then it'd be really sick to see him as this like black clad dude, and then he's got this pitched white sword, and that'd be really cool. It gives some Bleach flashbacks. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's definitely an idea. I'm definitely. Wait. Okay, I didn't lose my place this time. I'm nearly done catching up with Black Clover after I catch up with my Eric Demo. Finally watched Demon Slayer. Yeah, those are both awesome. I need to watch more of the anime. I'm only a couple episodes in the anime. I've just been reading the manga. I'll probably get to it soon. I want to catch up. I feel bad every time like poor Andre has asked me where I'm at My Hema. I'm like, I'm progressing, but way too slower than I should have. And I'll get to it. I'm almost done. I just keep getting distracted. I'll get to it like 1 or 2 episodes, then I'll get distracted, and then like a dare so I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot. I'm supposed to be watching that, and then I get back to it, and then it happens again. I'll get to it. But the animation for Kimetsu no Yaiba is fantastic. I really love just the way that the old style Japanese like attack layers over. It just looks so good compared to like just the animation style in general. Great stuff. I hope Eden Zero has a fortress mode and transforms completely into a giant fortress. That'd be cool if it like lands and then it turns into a building. I don't know. Or just has like some like sick combat mode. Well, they'll probably have a couple different variations to it. This is just for the base one. They'll probably have like a battle mode. Maybe they'll have like a transport mode. I don't know. Well, a bomber mode? We'll get to it. You think of the animation for Brandish and Lucy fight? I thought it was fine. For such a short fight, I thought it was alright. I enjoyed it. It wasn't disappointing. It wasn't like super moment, like animation kicked up top notch, like out of nowhere. It looked it looked like what the animation should look like for all the other fights. They all should look like they're flowing really well. The only time that it should be like, damn, that animation on this part looks great, is like big fights. Like anything like Natsu versus Gray. Even though it's not the arc big battle, it's a big moment in the idea you're having two characters who throughout this entire story have been allies now fighting for, this reason that they didn't know, that throughout the story they've been kind of like linked up together because of, and yet they finally found out about it. And as Natsu is in his partial Aetherius form, and Gray's got his demon slaying lair over his arm using that. That should be well animated, and obviously Natsu versus Zeref needs to be well animated, and the Dragon Slays against Akmaluga needs to be really well animated. I really don't want them to fuck up there, because that's gonna be a part where if any of those are not well animated, I'm gonna be really sad, really, really depressed over it. It'll make me cry a little bit in my heart. I'm neutral at Deku's multi-quirk thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea of it. Though my idea of it, it's like, even if you wanted to go with it, this is what I would have preferred. And again, this is just me talking. It's not like me saying Koshi's messing up. He's not doing what he should be doing. If it's working for him, it's working. Because at the end of the day, like, the fandom needs to be, as long as he's pleasing the fandom, as long as he's getting sales across and he's doing what he thinks is right, that's more important. But I wish it was like, if he got the 7 quirks, it's like, the reason that you're having trouble with the super strength portion is because you have all these other quirks bogging down your body. And he's like, oh, well, what do I do about that? And he can, like, imagine if he could give them out. Like, imagine if it's like, I have 7 quirks, but I can only really use 1. But I can give the other 6 to people. So it'd be like, okay, we're in an arc. Okay, I've got you guys. I've got 10 of you. I can give 6 of you a quirk. What would be best beneficial? Okay, let me give you this, and you this. Like, imagine instead if Todoroki got the Black Whip, or not Todoroki, Bakugo, and he's like swings into one area, explodes in one area, and then like whips around and like is able to attack somebody, or like grabs onto somebody, pulls them in, and then direct palm on face explosions. I don't know. It'd be cool, and it'd be a way to like make the other characters being able to catch up with Deku. Because that's the largest concern I have, again, with Deku getting all these powers, is the idea of the other characters. How are they going to keep up? Because the main characters usually, at least out of their clique, you imagine like the characters in their age range, they're going to end up being the strongest, and then by the end of the series, they're going to be the strongest character. That's just one of those things that like everyone expects it. It's just one of those normal things. It's like, who cares if that happens? It's just an aspect to it. It's not a big deal. But I don't want it to end up like Dragon Ball, to where almost every character in the series is irrelevant, other than Goku and then sometimes Vegeta. I don't want that to happen. I don't want any of the characters to be like, we're here for moral support. We're not going to do anything, but we're going to cheer you on. I don't want that to happen. I've been very happy that like Tabata's been keeping characters and Mishima's been keeping characters, and they're keeping them very relevant. That's again leading over to One Piece, one of the big problems I have with One Piece, and I don't like to just talk about the things I don't like. I'd rather talk about the things I do like, but I will be honest about it. Like, I don't like that you have like all the Straw Hats, and it's like really only Luffy and Zoro are relevant. Occasionally, the other ones, 1 or 2 of them will be relevant in an arc, but they end up usually just being in the background. And that's what I don't want to happen with My Hero Academia. I really don't want them to just fall in the backside. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. And that's my worry with Deku getting 7 quirks. I mean, Todoroki is pretty powerful with 2. And giving Deku 7? It just has too much potential for disaster for me to feel easy about it. But, again, I'm willing to at least wait. I'm willing to be paranoid. And even anything I say that it's like comes off as a complaint, it's all just me being nervous. And it's what I don't want to happen, rather. It's because of what I think could happen rather than what I'm going to say. I'm going to know this is going to happen, or I could have done better. It's more of, I don't want it to go bad. It's complete nervousness. But anyway, I think, yeah, I already read the Inzio Fortress, Brandish fight. God, where was it? Melissa and Hatsume. Yeah, that was a while ago. I'm surprised how many people, like, this is a weird stream, because there's enough of you here, but, like, the chat, I feel like because I always get caught behind, they're like, we're just going to wait for him to get caught up, and then
will start commenting again. We're just going to listen to what's there. Otherwise, he's going to get a million years behind the chat again. If so, I appreciate it. Sorry, I ramble on sometimes. Doing pretty good. Just finished the latest Jujutsu Kaisen chapter. I loved it. Again, I love the territorial or area expansions now. I love them. I love the idea of them. I love it just being as it's a very unique yet pretty much staple to their characters. Again, it reminds me of Bleach, where it's like, when are we going to get to see their, Shikai Bankai, Resurrection, Holy Form? It's one of those default powers that I really look forward to seeing. It's going to be really awesome. But it's not like something like Fairy Tail. Their magic or curse could be anything. It's not like One Piece Devil Fruit could be anything if they have one. It's not like My Hero Academia or Black Clover or anything where it could be anything. The only way it could be like for Black Clover is if you saw people with a spirit and it'd be like, oh, I wonder what their spirit dive would be like, or what it will be if they have it. With Jujutsu Kaisen, anybody big is going to have a territorial expansion, and anybody that's not big enough to have it is going to have it at some point. Because even the one we saw in this one, Megumi, it was incomplete, so this one isn't even going to be his full one. And he's only got it because he's obviously very skilled. He's a prodigy, he's very powerful, he's very smart, he's the rival character. And it was also really weird to see the rival character go from we found out his backstory. He was this very stilled, calm emotions, very chill, and then we found out he used to be a delinquent, used to be a troublemaker. And in this chapter we find out you're pretty much you're being too considerate of others in fights. You should be selfish once in a while and look out for you. And then just him going batshit fuck it, okay. And he was so wild this chapter. And then territorial, I keep saying territorial expansion because I used to it. Area expansion, and it's this spooky cave with this dark water or liquid that his creatures are coming out of. Oh, it was so cool. I loved it. I love this chapter so much. What's your opinion on Sanji's raid suit? Sanji used to be my favorite character in One Piece. He was really cool. He had a really nice design. I liked that whole arc in CPI. He came out, everyone got a new thing. You had Sogi King, which was not really a new form or new anything for Usopp, but it was more it was a way for him to kind of pretty much become confident in a way. And then he was able to snipe better for some reason with his cool. I do like his cool slingshot staff. I do think that's really cool. You had Diablo Jambe, and you had Ashura. Now, and then obviously the gears. And the gears. Can't forget main character's fucking gears. I liked all of that, but Ashura. Ashura, I just never really... how does he pretty much, make his aura have him 3 heads and 9 arms? I get the symbolism, but why? How does this make sense? It makes sense with Sanji, because even though Sanji doesn't have a devil fruit, he's literally spinning his leg so that the friction gets to a point where it makes his leg mega heated. And Sanji was just really cool in that arc in general. And then the time skip happened, and Sanji became the One Piece version of Chad. And he just spent every arc getting beat up and losing. And then Oda announced the year of Sanji, and it was... I didn't like Whole Cake Island at all. I'm so annoyed with Whole Cake Island. I don't want to rant about it because that'll take up the whole rest of the stream. And then Sanji got the raid suit, and... one of the things I waited for forever, because I always liked X-Drake. I always thought it was cool. He had a fucking T-Rex devil fruit, and I was like, man, I can't wait to see his hybrid form. And he gets his hybrid form, and it was ugly as hell. I hated it. It made me so sad. I was so disappointed. But then page 1 showed his hybrid form, and this was a character who, the chapter before, I'm just I don't really care about him that much. But then he showed his hybrid form, and I was like, I'm on board with this character. He seems cool. He's got a sick form where he looks like fucking Killer Croc. And then you have Sanji have this really cool suit, and they can turn invisible. And then Oda off-panels the fight. Why does Oda do this? Why does he always make Sanji seem like he's going to be really cool and then drop the ball with him? I don't get it. Sanji used to be my favorite my favorite character in One Piece. Not anymore. It's Brook now. I used to really like Sanji, not anymore. That's the summary of how I feel about Sanji. Back in the Tower of Heaven arc, a lot of people thought Natsurusa was going to happen, but do you think... it was... The only part where it really seemed like it was when he carries her out of of that when she has like a dream where she thinks he's dead, which I think is really the funny thing about that whole part that I think is kind of goofy but funny in a way is Urza having a dream where at her funeral the Magic Council shows up and be like, you know what, she was a wizard saint. She's clearly capable of it. We knew by power level she was capable of being a wizard saint. But that's like, could you just imagine somebody being like, you know what, I bet if I died, the most politically high people in the country, or really in the country, on the continent, are going to show up and praise me at my death. That's kind of weird. It was a dream, so maybe, Urza could get chalked off for that, but that's a little bit ego. That's some ego on Urza at that point, which I think is funny. It's weird to think about like that, because if it was like a what if, that makes sense. It'd be like, okay, yeah, they do this. But it was in Urza's mind. That was all like in a dream of hers. So I don't know. I always thought that was kind of funny. I wish it was more like, because Etherion is like transcends space and time, because it's like the super energy. It was like Urza was seeing an alternate timeline because of Etherion was messing with space and time. Instead, it was a dream. I always thought that was kind of funny, that was what she was dreaming of. Especially Urza, who's very stoic and doesn't ever seem like too cocky and like never boasts herself up. She occasionally seems pretty happy about herself, but there's never a point where you get something like that. What Natsu versus Dragon God are you most looking forward to? Ignia. And let me. Oh yeah. Wait. Hang on. Let me read. I accidentally skipped over JK Network's comment. You saw One Punch Man Season 2 anime? Not yet. I need to watch it. I've seen a lot of people upset about it. I haven't watched it yet. I'll get to it at some point. And anyway, Ignia, the reason that is because all the Dragon Gods are very cool and interesting. I feel like, well, from what we've seen, and I feel like all of them, again, are going to have their own interesting aspects to them. I talked about a little about each of them. There's the fact that the Dragon God that we're going to, Wood Dragon God, biggest one, they're going to the biggest city where where they're supposed to find information on them, called Drasil. If you know what, one thing that is known as a super important thing in mythology and used in a lot in writing of mythos, I don't know if it's pronouncing it correctly, Yggdrasil, the world tree, and I feel like you have a dragon god based around trees and wood, biggest dragon god and biggest city where they're apparently for, in the center of the continent. I feel like with a name that's literally the second half of the word Yggdrasil, it's too easy for it to have that. I feel like it's gonna be related to Yggdrasil. I feel it in my bones. The Moon Dragon God or Goddess, because I'm just gonna go with Goddess until always shown, named after a Moon Dragon Goddess, or a Moon Goddess, sorry, and Selene, and the fact that we have stuff set up about the moon. We know a little bit about it from like back in Galuna Island, where we know the moon has its own magical properties. It's got its own like fixed magical power. We don't know why. Could all the magic being used for something like moon drip? Could it be because of the Moon Dragon Goddess? Maybe she lives on the moon, and they're gonna eventually go to a city that's like her place of worship, and she'll come down from the moon or something. I don't know. There's the idea that, because she uses the power of the stars, is it going to have some way related to fairy glitter? Like maybe something along the line with that. Maybe Mavis met, or at least knew of somebody who knew moon dragon slang at some point. Because the way that fairy glitter works is it absorbs magic from the moon, sun, and stars to turn it into power for whoever the user is. Which Kana could be really useful in that Arc 4, because obviously fairy glitter, she could actually live up to her hype that Mavis put out about her back in the Grand Magic games. And there's the Gold Dragon God, who is named Viernes, which is Spanish for Friday. Obviously, the Dragon God themes are based around the Japanese days of the week. And Friday, the Golden Day, and the fact that it's Spanish and gold, mystical dragon god, I still have my theory that it somehow his place will be pretty much kind of like modeled after El Dorado, the mystical gold city. And I don't know, I feel like that's going to fall along those lines. But Ignia, the reason I'm most hyped about Ignia is because there's a lot of things that were positive throughout the story that could come back to bite Natsu and Ignia. Because we know one of the things about dragons that we learned about. Oh my god, hang on, I gotta My family's calling me. I'll end it. I'll end the stream soon because obviously it's Mother's Day. I gotta talk to my parents. I talked to my parents earlier before you think I'm neglecting them for the stream. But I'm gonna call them back in a little bit, and then let me message them and tell them like, hang on, give me a few minutes. 1 second, sorry. Anyway, because obviously it's important I talk to them, but I don't want to just leave you guys hanging. The thing about with the dragons, especially before, because we know that being with Natsu gave Igneo kind of like the ability to really love another person, because the dragons, especially which was expanded upon recently, finding out that the male dragons don't raise their children, they have a mating season, and they never really know their offspring. The fact that Igneo doesn't care about his offspring, but he came to love Natsu. It was a very kind of like touches my heart. The fact that the last thing he tells Natsu is the happiest days of his life are when he spent with him. He gave him the power to love another person. It was just like, why do you do this to me? You're hurting my emotions right now. And it was such a beautiful, touching moment. And at the same time, when we know how they, as dragons, especially the male dragons, view their offspring, it was extra special the way that Igneo kind of like came to love another person, when it wasn't just like, oh, you give maybe really, really have this fatherly feeling. It also went against the way that dragons in general are. But with Ignea, who, given the fact that they don't have their fathers as these dragons, they're probably like, normally it's like, okay, whatever, it's just how it is. But you got to keep in mind, Ignea probably like in his mind, like, what is special about Natsu that my father would raise him and love him, but not me at that point? It's like, I understand that dragons don't raise their kids, but why did he raise this guy then? What makes him so special? What about him is better than me? And probably like fucked with his mind a lot. I think that it's going to be really cool to see like something really beautiful and really good between Natsu and Igneo's story. In a way, will also come back to be a dangerous thing along the way. I think that's kind of cool. And I really look forward to seeing how that plays out further in the story. Also, yeah, if it's Mother's Day. If you haven't yet, tell your mom Happy Mother's Day. Anyway, I'll finish these comments and then we'll end the stream, and I'll call my parents and and talk to them for a little bit. I'm not neglecting them. I can't neglect you guys at the same time. But anyway, oh god, where was I? Anyway, yeah, that was one thing. What would you rank Brandish among the Spriggan? I put her in terms of power. I put her around the middle. In terms of character, she's definitely in the upper ones, because she was. Unlike someone like Bloodman, who was a villain, he was made to be a very intimidating opponent. He wasn't made to last, whereas Brandish, obviously, she was going to stick around. We don't know who, if anybody other of the Spriggan 12 are going to come back and be important. Invil could. I would love to see Invil come around again. I really like his character. I think the only thing really that potentially could be detrimental to that is if, he's an ice user. Why do we want another ice user in the group? I don't know. He could easily come back. Maybe him and Gray will have a tag team match. It'd be really cool to see him, Gray, and Leon all like together fighting somebody. Maybe a dragon eater. I don't know. Just the idea of the three of them, triple ice dudes, just battling it out against somebody would be pretty cool. I feel like Ignea has Natsu's personality taken to a darker path, like he has Ray was in his ED state. Yeah, I'm really interested in Ignea. I think Ignea in general is a very interesting character, especially with what his backstory potentially holds. You could see that feeling when he talked about the fact he didn't really know his dad, and when he found out he died, you can tell that there was something behind that wasn't truthful. I feel like if we ever get an anime, and when you hear it in the anime, you hear the tone of voice, it'll probably give it away a little bit more. Do you think that Natsu and Gray don't feel like real rivals because Natsu is way above Gray now? Well, I don't think Natsu is way above Gray. I feel like with the form he recently got, yeah. But I feel like in general, he's not way above him. Natsu's stronger. I don't think he's absurdly above him. Like every single, unless he somehow like can use Savage Dragon Fire again, which I don't think he can. Gray has never felt like a direct rival. He was more like, I'd say, like a buddy adversary. Rivalry is more like Austin, where they're constantly competing. Gray and Natsu have had rival-like moments, but they've never felt that same position. It's always felt kind of like the rival is half of the rival position goes to Gray and half goes to Gajeel. I always thought that was kind of interesting, but Gray overall definitely is the more pushed up portion of it. and it hasn't been of this same kind of like idea. Obviously, Austin, Natsu and Sasuke, or Natsu and Sasuke, Naruto and Sasuke. It's actually kind of, I think, more like Bakugo and Deku, where it's like they're kind of rivals, but it doesn't have that same tone where it's heavy rivalry. It's more like they kind of rivals, but the thing is they aren't constantly competing. It's only sometimes they kind of like, hey, guess what? We're buddies, but we're competing against each other all the time. I don't know. I like where they're at. I don't think it sits in that same way because they still have they have more moments where it becomes apparent, but not as heavy as something like Austin, charging complete fire the moth cannon. It could happen. Maybe one day. I thought of it more of like an old style war based kind of story. If Mira fought both Kagura and Minerva at the same time in Ground Games, do you think Urza instead of Urza, you think she would win? Kagura and Minerva? Maybe. The issue is with Minerva is obviously her territory magic was dangerous, and Urza only won because she was able to have the Nakagami armor. I wish that I wish that the Nakagami armor was. I wish it had more of limitations. Obviously, it's a huge drain, but we've only seen it a few times. I mean, it really only helps as if the person has a weird magic, because otherwise, it's not going to be that of a use. That's the only time it's ever really been able to be a hit. It's like, okay, you have a weird magic, or you have something that if I dispel it, I'll get through. And it's such a drain that she's only been able to do it once in a long span of time. She's only used it against Minerva, and she used it against Agiel. So it wouldn't really have mattered against Nineheart. It wouldn't really mattered against Irene. Eden Zero Megazord. Hopefully, that'd be really cool. It's funny how people said Ignia is a better brother than Zeref. That makes me sad. Zeref did so many things, but Nats never saw him as a brother. I'll get more into that at some point. I want to do a video on just the contrast of Ignia and Zeref at some point. We'll get to that. At some point, we'll get to that. I think that they're going to extend the fight of Asta versus Langris as they did for Asta versus Ladros. Maybe. I don't think they'll expand it as much, but I think that they'll add a little bit more. I won't complain if they don't. I'll just put that out there. Because the difference with Asta versus against Ladros, Ludros, however it's pronounced, the difference there is that was the first time you ever saw it. So obviously it had to be crazy. It could be. Maybe they might expand that a little bit more. I'm wondering about that. We'll see. That's the next episode. That's in 2 days, so be hyped as fuck. You think Lucy will get a Celestial Spirit King Star Dress? I hope so. People have been talking about that forever. I want that to happen already. Shiki gets transformed into a huge 12 legs alien gravity lizard. Cheeky beast when acted. I hope that'd be weird as fuck. Where are you on right now in Blue Exorcist? I'm caught up with Blue Exorcist. I caught up with Blue Exorcist a while ago. What's your favorite super form in Bleach? For me, it's Resurrection. It's where I would count it. My favorite group in Bleach, and which has always been my favorite group in Bleach, are the Vizards. I love the Vizards. That was the thing about the final arc with Bleach that I was most salty about, is that Kubo did the Vizards fucking dirty. They got shafted hard. I always thought it was cool because then you still have the Zanpakuto and everything, but I just love the idea of you get that whatever your version of the poses, because all of them had different poses, and then put on the mask, and it's just such an ominous appeal. It felt so different to okay, I'm going to use my Bankai. Okay, I got a cool new weapon. I'm going to go to my Resurrection form. I'm going to go to my Holy form. It was just it was just the mask, and it was such a subtle yet huge burst versus the other ones where it was drastic change. And I wish that we saw more of them leading into a Vasto Lorde form like Ichigo got. That would have been sick. Opinion on God Usopp and Dressrosa. I like Usopp. Usopp's the only member of the... He's the only member of the Straw Hats that's consistent in the story without it kind of being like Zoro, where I like Zoro. Zoro's badass, but he's if you've read Toriko, he's like Zebra, where he's badass, but that's all there really is to him right now. And that's what it kind of has irked me a little bit about Zoro post time skip. He's again badass, but there hasn't been much going on with him since then. I don't know. Whatever. Definitely like Usopp, because a lot of Usopp's is lucky and misinterpretations people just make which I think is funny, but at the same time cool. For both his character, because he's hyped up, at the same time it's like, cool, I got a lot of hype around me. But then it's like, oh shit, now there's a bigger bounty on me. I always thought that was cool. I didn't even mention in my stream, this is my first stream. I got monetized. I hit the mark to get monetized, and I've been slowly making money off my videos, finally, just little bits. And now I can get super chats. I didn't even mention that 2 hours into a stream, I didn't even be like, hey, just so you know, you can give me money, but you're not obligated to. It's just in there for an option. I'll probably mention it next time. I like how, like, that was one of the things I was thinking about in my streams, is like, I want to get a super chat because I think it'd be cool, but I don't ever want to make it seem like I want to force the people listening. I don't want to do that to anybody, because it's all just for side. It's for enjoyment. It's fun. Yeah, thanks. I like getting monetized is cool. It's sad because a lot of the people that I know also doing YouTube does a lot of like the drama stuff. Like a lot of them are coming to Vic Mignogna stuff, and they're getting a lot of their videos demonetized because of fucking whatever the YouTube algorithm is, and probably like some unfortunate cheating stuff like behind the scenes. And then I'm just like, I have only monetized videos, but I don't get a lot of money, but it's like getting side money, so it's like whatever. Anyway, I don't want to just talk about maybe. I want to talk about manga and stuff. Guild Thunder got worse treatment from Sanji from what I've seen. Yeah, but Guild Thunder wasn't a main character. That was the issue that I really had. If Sanji was like Jinbei, then I'd be like, okay, whatever. He's not a main character. He's just like a cool side character. But he was a main character. He came over from East Blue into the Grand Line and everything. It's like, god damn it, why? Why does he get shafted like this? It's kind of funny if the Wood Dragon God occasionally talks with Celebi. I'm wondering, because the whole fact that it's the biggest dragon, if it's gonna have, it's either gonna have a form where it's gonna be a badass jacked person just ripped, or they're gonna be like a Loli or a Shota. I'm calling it now. Like, oh, let me take human form, and they're smaller than Wendy, which would be funny for a Wendy to see. I think that would be the thing that I would require a reaction for, of just Wendy being around like a dragon person smaller than them. She'd probably think it's funny. Does Aknolugia technically count as a wizard because he uses magic, but he doesn't fight like one, like how Urza fights more like a knight? Oh, he's like it's like every dragon slayer. He's a combat mage. He's a combat wizard. Urza though fights way more like a knight than a wizard though, and not even like a combat wizard. She's just straight up like a weapons master. Kano and Tanjiro though, yeah, they haven't done any romance with her yet between him and Tanjiro. That's why I'm wondering, like, I hope that the series doesn't, because I saw something like saying final arc, but I don't know if that was the correct translation. And it'd be weird for them to kind of like end it without it going down any of those lines yet, any relationship stuff. You think individual ice god slaying magic? I'd like it. I think that'd be cool. I really don't want Invul to get brushed off. Holy crap, Celestial Spirit King Lucy dress would be awesome. Yeah, people have been wondering about that for a while. What early 2000s manga needs a reboot? Like manga or anime? Because if it's an anime, I want a new anime as Zatch Bell. Just refresh, looking beautiful. If Kurt Ren from Blue Exorcist manga was in Kimetsu no Yaiba or Jujutsu Kaisen, how would he stack up against most of the demons of the series? I mean, he could beat most of them. The only people in there that could, I think, would be like in Jujutsu Kaisen, people like Mojito, who just hacks, like, he can fuck with your soul. It would depend, because the Blue Flames are special in Blue Exorcist. But I mean, he seems more powerful. Like that. I think he could potentially clear. It just depends, because we saw that big power up when he defeated the what was it, the King of Rot, and he. But I don't know if that was like a limit break scene or if he's still that powerful. Oh no, he just got that new form, so yeah, he'd probably clear. Awesome, congrats on getting monetized. Thank you. I stand with Vic. Me too. I think it'd be really cool, perfect for kaiju and taking on Fortress, the 12th leg anti-gravity lizard for Shiki. That'd be, again, very strange. How do you think Lucy's personality mixes with Rebecca's if they met, just like a Lucy met Ellie if it's a crossover? Oh, she'd probably interview her for her channel. She would interview her and have her tell all these stories for her channel, which I think would be pretty funny. And then you maybe have, like, throw Ellie in there, and Ellie, like, takes some gambling, and then they, like, vlog it or something. But anyway, I'm gonna end the stream. Again, I gotta set up. I'm gonna call my family, talk to them for a little bit. Call your mothers, tell them Happy Mother's Day, see how they're doing, and I hope you guys have a good week. Again, we're nicely out of Golden Week, where we're getting back to normal manga weeks, except for One Piece. Fucking, why did Oda came out of Golden Week to go on another week hiatus? Why did you do that? But anyway, looking forward to everything this week. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, hope you guys have a great time, and look forward to everything coming out this week, especially that Black Clover episode. I'm hoping for it. I feel like the reason that they had the filler jokey episode is probably to save budget, because they were probably putting a lot more time, effort, and money into this next episode. Because even if it's like a 3-minute scene where the animation goes crazy, I'm hoping that ends up going crazy. Yeah, hope you guys have a good time. Andres, hopefully I'll have my Hime finished again by the next time I talk to you. But I remember the moths. I do like the moths. I haven't seen a lot of moths outside recently. Anyway, talk to you guys later.